Hello, my name is Creostix, and welcome back to the Great Ace Attorney Adventures, Case 4, The Adventure of the Stuff and Stuff. Yes, let's go. The names escape me like a champ. Something Kokoro. Objection! Exactly. Right, let's go. So, my memories are a bit hazy by this point. It's again been a few days. It's not optimal, but we just gotta like roll with the punches, you know. So, I have considered the defense counsel's request for a further summation examination of the jury, and I have determined that the court must uphold the defense's judicial right to this procedure. Lovely. So, counsel, you will now proceed with your second summation examination. Right. So, my vague memory is that we got, for the second time in the court proceedings, we got like a case where everyone decided that it's just gonna be a bad day for everyone. So that's what we are doing today. I'm trying to get a good fit for the. Actually, I should probably hold on. Should probably just make it a little more square so it's not as. There you go. That's probably a little bit more like it. And then just put it a little more. There you go. Lovely. Let's go. I presume the jury is ready, Mr. Foreman. We are, my lord. Very good. In that case, I must ask each of you now to state clearly and concisely for the court the grounds on which you find the defendant guilty of this crime. I believe their grounds are, I don't like the fact that they bought milk or something. Like, it's dumb reasons because juries are dumb. Yes. Let's go. Like, I find the concept of a jury bizarre.
I never asked for this.
Since, hi, welcome. Thank you for the host. Much appreciated. Hells yes. Hell yeah. I hope day has been excellent for you as well. Absolutely. And I hope it all sounded normal. I didn't catch if the things went normally, but it should be okay. So let's go. The accused left behind evidence at the scene, didn't he? Those 3 books of his. If there was some novel alternative explanation about how the victim was stabbed, I might reconsider. Even if the woman was throwing books, it can't be related to this crime if the window was closed, can it? Dearie me, it was only a little book, hardly life-threatening, even with a direct hit. Also, one of the jury members should be a witness and not a member of the jury. That's one. Look, I just want to get this over with. If I don't bring home some pay tonight, I'll be in a tidy bit of trouble. Come to think of it, we had a fire at home a while ago. It gave me the sneezes. Right. And that's why the jury are guilty. We had a fire at home once. I got a sneeze, so guilty. Ugh. These idiots, come on. Yes, considerably more tangible arguments from all members of the jury this time around, it seems. Really? Really? Santa? I like Christmas as much as the next guy, but that sentence does not make any sense. Yes, yes. Retirement might be a good thing. Is one of them that old guy's maid? Why? Yes. And I think we kind of established that by this point, at least. I don't think she admits being the wife, but she does admit to throwing the books outside into the crime scene, which makes her a witness and should be stricken from the jury. But you know, that's Ace Attorney for you. Missed a few due to vacation, so I'm not sure I'm out of the loop. Yeah, I also have forgotten a lot, so we're kind of almost in the same boat, with one notable exception, of course. My learned student friend was unable to find fault in the previous witness testimony. So the court must accept the fact that it was indeed the accused seen fleeing from the scene. And moreover... Why do you throw this thing? No one else was even at the scene to commit the crime. Maybe it was a long distance sniper throw of a knife. I've done that in GoldenEye 64. It was quite something. Well, if the eyewitnesses are correct, it would seem as if the conclusion is somewhat set in stone. No. In GoldenEye 64, in the Severnaya level, I often did dual-wielding throwing knives, and I just threw them up in the air in this huge arc and hit an enemy walking around like 60 meters away. It was awesome. Ninjas can throw knives pretty good, lol, or carnival entertainers, sure, yeah, that'll work. I fail to see how it can be argued any other way. Well, I mean, Santa, leave Christmas to you and law to me. Yes, let's do this. That means I'm afraid that during this summation examination, it's essential that you establish some other tangible explanation for the facts. But how? What would even constitute a tangible explanation here? Probably anything. Isn't it obvious? Who stabbed the woman and how? Those two details are all you need to provide. Santa Claus with the magic of Christmas is how she was stabbed. That's my plan right now. Let's go. Simply give us a name and a method by which the attack was conducted. There we are. Santa Claus with the magic of Christmas. I think I'm really onto something here. I think we finally cracked the case. And here I was thinking this might be hard. But Mr. Naruhodo, you have to do it, otherwise this really will be where the trial ends. Oh dear. No pressure then. Right, let's go. That's quite enough preamble. Proceed with the summation examination, please. I presume you are prepared, Counsel. Oh, I was born prepared. I have a theory right up my sleeve. It said Santa Claus, magic of Christmas. Let's go. Alright, Runesuke, focus your mind now. Santa Claus, magic of Christmas. It can really happen. Let's go. Clearly, the key to this summation examination is going to be juror number 4, the maid, or should I say, Mrs. Garideb. We have a book that disappeared from the Garideb's house on the evening of the incident, and the 4th book found in the victim's hand. There must be a way to link the two. Yes, that's what we have to find. Using every technique I've learned in my short career so far, whatever it takes. Can we also use Susato's takedown as a technique? We can just like take down the juror and then force her to tell the truth. Yes. Don't forget to keep an eye on Mrs. Garadeb and how she reacts, even to the things other people say. That's probably how it goes. Alright. Okay. Katana from the sheath and let's go. The Defenders Rebuttal. The accused left behind evidence at the scene, didn't he? Those 3 books of his. Hold it! Hold it! FJ, hello, welcome. Hope you had an excellent day. Glad to have you. But as we know now, there were 4 books, not 3. Well, what difference does it make? There's every possibility that the 4th book, in fact, belongs to the defendant's landlord. Same to you, thank you. Yes, that's the part I have a problem with. Sorry? Well, at the point the woman was stabbed, this landlord fellow was at home, wasn't he? Enjoying a fiery scrap with his wife or something, you said. That's not exactly how I put it, no. Well, anyway, the point is the fellow and his wife were somewhere else when it happened. Within throwing distance of a knife, yes. I think that's what you call a strong alibi. So it couldn't have been the landlord who did it, which only leaves the Nipponese fellow. Honestly, I can't see what all this palaver's about. It's a done deal, isn't it? No, it is never a done deal until I win! Yes, that's the Naruhodo way, the Ace Attorney justice method. I suppose it is, since there's nothing witty left to say. No giving up yet, Mr. Naruhodo. We're gonna crack the case. Okay, some novel alternative explanation about how the victim was stabbed I might reconsider. Right, so... Hold it! So, You might be willing to change your decision, you mean? Oh my, such delight on your face. I'm afraid I shan't be swayed by emotion. Oh, that's BS. You've been swayed. All of these people have been swayed by emotion since day one. Come on. Despite what you may think of me, I'm a very modern, metropolitan, and rational woman. I believe modern and metropolitan. None of you people are rational. Not one. Including the judge. No one is rational. No one. I think we can agree on this point. No one is rational here. None. None. That's great. If one reads the morning papers, it's all forgotten by tea time, isn't it? So why read them in the first place? Right. Thanks for proving my point. You see? Modern, metropolitan, and rational thinking, wouldn't you say? Right. And not at all extreme. As I see it, overwhelmingly suspicious Japanese man has been implicated by overwhelmingly strong testimony. Clank, hi! Welcome! Glad to have you here, and I hope you've had an excellent day. And, I don't really know how to answer the question, what's up, but at least I'm here. That's the best I can do, I suppose. It's complicated, but, you know, so it goes. So despite one or two minor puzzlements, I do declare that the man is overwhelmingly guilty. And the jurors are morons! Come on! Throw me a bone here. Modern, metropolitan, and rational logic, wouldn't you say? Oh boy. Overwhelmingly. But as modern gals are always delighted to embrace new fads, you know? Like rationality? So I'd be only happy to consider an exciting new theory if you come up with one. I'd be happy to do that too, if only I could. Internet immediately breaks. Ah, well, there we are. Let's do our very best not to disappoint the modern and metropolitan young lady. Right, I'm glad you omitted rational there. Yeah. Indeed. Even if the woman was throwing books, it can't be related to this crime if the window was closed, wasn't it? Hold it! Hold it! But what about the possibility that the window was open? What about it? I mean, there's just no way it could have been. Why? How can you be so sure? The prosecutor fellow over there said it earlier, didn't he? Winters in London are no joke. You don't want to invite that sort of cold indoors. So no, that window wasn't open, as Londoners like sitting by the fire and staying warm, see? But you couldn't categorically state that the window wasn't open, could you? It just wasn't. They wouldn't have opened it. Well, you are an idiot, and you should be stricken from the jury, and we could just switch you for a different person. That's the thing. Then what's the point even having windows, huh? Counsel, you will kindly refrain from childish bickering. I mean, these people are bickering. I'm just poking holes in their lack of rationale. For some reason, my phone is very grumpy with Wi-Fi. Internet's fine. Every other device is fine. Wi-Fi's be weird. There was a fire in the room and smoke filling it. Yep, I know. How you been? Complicated. Stress, pain, everything's rough, but I'm here. Yeah, so yeah. Somehow I need to show there's an undeniable possibility that the window was open. Well, there was a fire, you moron! Okay, let's check the court record. Let's see if there's anything we can, like... The fourth book badly burned. That's the closest thing we probably have, yeah. Because this young man isn't going to budge otherwise. Okay, I could do a safety save and see about, see if the book with the burnt cover is gonna help. I kind of think it might be a leap of logic, so... Fair, send internet hugs. Thank you, and, yeah. All we can do is try to make do day after day, yeah? Alright, so... Yeah, but I can't really give evidence to it, though. Alright. Only a little book, hardly life-threatening even with a direct hit. Hold it! Hold it! But the little book was on fire at the time, was it not? With flames of love, I'll have you know. There's really no such thing as a loving incendiary bomb. Well, he brought it upon himself. It's playing with fire to betray a fiery love. Isn't it? Well, don't you agree? Well, any kind of betrayal is certainly a bad thing, yes. But I think the argument might have arisen out of your misunderstanding, Mrs. Garandeb. Never you mind that. The point is, we were just having a jovial little dispute, nothing more. And I won't have any more of these suggestions that it was anything whatsoever to do with this crime. Right, well, we'll see about that. But what about juror number 5? Doesn't seem to be turning a hair at Mrs. Garandeb's relentless onslaughts. It's almost as though he's used to it. What a gentle soul he is. Just want to get this over with. Don't bring home some page tonight of being a tiny bit of trouble.
Hold it!
Hold it! You just want to get this over with? How can you sit there and say something like that? A man's future is at stake here. Well, him and me both then, like I said before. What? I told you already, I'm a day laborer, aren't I? If I don't bring home some readies with me tonight, you'll find me floating face down in the Thames following morning. What? You heard me. My missus isn't one to mess about, you know. She can be fierce, believe you me. I think you might want to call the police if she's about to drown you, just saying. Another shining example of marital bliss, then. A situation like this cropped up the other day. It was, well, Do you know, it's funny, but I can't quite remember. Did someone hit you over the head and you can't remember? Sorry? It was too frightening, that's the thing. Must have blocked it out. Helpful. I wonder if Mr. Beat will ever be dragged into the Thames by his scarf. Don't even go there, Mr. Sato. There must be some way to jog his memory about this. Come to think of it, we had a fire at home a while ago and gave me the sneezes.
Hold it!
Hold it! Does that have anything to do with your decision about the defendant's culpability in this case? Sorry, what's that? You'll have to speak up, lad. Could you tell us more about that fire? It was last winter. My grandchildren baked me a lovely cake on my birthday. It had 75 candles on the top, it did, but a sight to behold it was. You put candles on a cake? Was it some kind of devil worship? Of course not, it's an angel cake, to celebrate my birthday, obviously. It seems it's a common custom here in Great Britain, Mr. Naruhodo. Anyway, I mustered all of my puff to blow them out. Did you use the puff the magic dragon is the question. Only I must have blown wrong somehow. The flames didn't go out, but candles went flying all over the room. The furniture caught and everything went up, the whole place filled with smoke. Definitely sounds like devil worship to me. And by the sneezes I presume you mean a cold, but how did you catch a cold from a fire? What a fiasco it was, the grandchildren, bless them, threw water over me as they tried to put out the flames. And then, because the whole room had filled up with smoke, of course, window open, yes, we had to open all the windows to clear it. The windows. The biting winter air rushed over me like the devil dancing on my grave, it did. I caught a terrible cold from it, it put me in a hospital for a while, I won't forget that birthday in a hurry. I knew it was devil worship all along. But something about this old man's story is playing on my mind for some reason. We need to demonstrate who, apart from Mr. Natsume, could have attacked the young woman on the street, as well as how he or she could have done it. Yes, but once again, the juror's statements are full of personal prejudice. A lot of them seem convinced they're right, even if the face of logical arguments are the contrary. I think you're going to need to pit them against each other to force them to accept an alternative explanation. Yes. I don't necessarily need to find contradictions between the assertions, the connection might do the trick. Alright, I'll see what I can do. If anything stands out, I'll go for a strike. Need to walk the dog up, but I'm going to put the DV on leave on its own to help your analytics. Thank you, much appreciated. Every little help to the analytics is super appreciated. I thank you for that. All right. So I'm guessing I need to pit together this one and the last one, probably. Let's do a safety save. So, hit this with this.
Objection!
Objection! All hail the algorithm gods, yes. The Cthulhoids of the internet, yes. Oh boy. These two jurors' statements clearly contradict one another. They do? How exactly, counsel? Objection! Don't point at me again, I told you it wasn't me. Maybe it was you, maybe that's the key. What's that you say? Speak up, lad, speak up. Juror number 3, do you see? Oh, me? See what, sir? Well, the fact that you can't think. Yes. And should retire from the jury. Did you hear juror number 6's account of his birthday celebrations last year? It seems despite being a Londoner, he once opened his windows in the middle of winter. Well, yes, of course, because it was an emergency. I mean, obviously, if the room was filled with smoke from a fire, then you'd be mad not to open the... Oh! Exactly. On the day in question, at the time of the incident, there was a fire in the Garadeb household, and Mr. Garadeb had the following to say about it. The whole place filled with smoke.
Oh my!
Oh my! Oh my hat! That's a bunch of tea right there. Is that an endless teapot of tea? Because if it is, I think we might have solved some sort of world, you know, lack of drinking fluid problem, you know? Like, not quite famine, but close enough, you know?
Excuse me!
Excuse me! Juror number 4, do you have something to say about that? Mrs. Garadeb. Ah, dearie me. What is the meaning of this? How do you imply that I'm hiding who I really am? It's imperative that you confirm something for the court. So please, it's time to drop the pretense now. Well, what is it? When the fire started in your house that day, did you or your husband open the window? What? I beg your pardon, what are you insinuating? These are witnesses! She should not be in the jury! She's a witness to the crime because she was nearby and she's literally related to the case because one of the books in the crime scene is from their home that apparently flew through the window. Come on now. Why is she still sitting there? Like, this is so... The room would have been thick with smoke after the carpet and bookcase caught fire as they did. In a situation like that, it's inconceivable that you wouldn't have opened the window. And what if we did? Then you threw the book in there, and can we just once, just for me, just one time, can we nail this lady for murder just because she's so annoying and disrespectful? Like, just one time nail someone for murder because they're annoying. Just once. I think the justice system could, like, just a little bit swing in our favor like that. Just one time. Yes? Like, like, I can't stand this character. Like, seriously. Oh, alright then. Yes, you're right. My husband was frantically trying to open the window, which kind of been easy since I continued to give him just the justly deserved book battering. Even though your house was on fire, Oh, you never stop throwing until the anger subsides. I would be terribly bad with the nerves to do otherwise. Aha. Well, I'm glad. Sure. Of course, I should have realized. That's a significant step forward, Mr. Naruhodo. You've managed to establish that the window was open. Cool. We simply must have that added to Mrs. Garadeb's formal statement. Anger issues much? Yeah, and other... I mean, there's a lot of issues in a household where the wife is trying to pretend to be the husband's maid to keep up appearances, and then have anger issues based on nothing so hard that they start fires and throw books outside. And cause injuries and whatever. Okay, window was open. Could have been open when the woman was throwing books. I mean, it's definitely a possibility. Okay, that's a start, yeah? Do I press her again now?
Hold it!
The fourth book found at the scene of the crime shows very obvious signs of fire damage. And the title of the book is The Lion's Pride. The same title, in fact, that's the book that Mr. Garadeb told us he had been reading. Well, I really couldn't say. On the day in question, did you or did you not throw at your husband the copy of The Lion's Pride that he had been reading? I did. It was the first thing I could lay my hands on, so I hurled it straight at him. And now you come to mention it, yes. He was rather enjoying reading it, you're right. Why did you not reveal this information to the court from the outset? Because I couldn't, you insolent little man, I didn't remember. At times like that, you pick up and throw whatever you can lay your hands on as well, you know. No I don't. I really don't. I barely noticed I was throwing a book, much as the title of it. Ah! Hello.
Excuse me!
Excuse me. What is it, juror number 5? You know something? I remember what it was, that memory I'd blocked out. Ah. It was listening to what this granny was saying, I brought it all flooding back. Who are you calling a granny, you cheeky devil? I'm Mrs. Garadeb, or the maid, I'll have you know. Whichever works, apparently. The man doesn't even flinch. Please tell me that's not because he's so used to being hit all the time. It was about 2 weeks ago now. I just got back home after work, like. I put my hand in my pocket for the wages I just earned that day, and I nearly died. There was a hole. Every last penny had dropped out. Oh dear, what a disaster. You haven't heard the half of it, boy. Oh. The wife was cutting up some chicken at the time. I couldn't hardly get the words out, but I told her straight, I've lost a day's wages, love. Next thing I knew, the blade was whistling past my ear, stuck into the wall next to me, it did, about an inch deep. No words, just terror. I could smell it then, you know, that god-awful stench of the Thames. I was sure I was going to end up face down in the muddy banks that night, I can tell you. Now that's a real disaster, isn't it? Ah, the power of love, it seems. Cool. I'll never use the word lightly again. Right. Anyway, the point I'm trying to make is this. When women lose their rag, they'll throw anything at you. Knives, hatchets, hammers, you name it. In my experience, it's more like they try to like, nail you into little pieces psychologically for fun, but that's just me, maybe. Mr. Naruhodo, you mustn't think that all women are so short-tempered and unrefined. No, I wasn't thinking that. Although Susato does just like throw people around just because she likes it, apparently, so you know. Throwing household objects at people is, well, it's so uncivilized. At least attack with honor, using a bow or the like. An attack? Who are you going to attack? Never mind. Anyway, this man's words could be rather significant, I think. Alright, we'll come back to the bow and arrow thing later, if I dare. Okay. Oh, really? Okay, I think this is a bit of a long shot, but are we gonna point the finger at the wife as a person who like threw a knife out the door or the window and then that got stuck in the victim? Yeah, okay, let's do that. So this and this one. Novel alternative explanation stabbed. Yeah, I think that's the point. Yeah?
Objection!
Objection! These two statements clearly have a deeply significant connection. Good grief, you mean they don't contradict each other? Explain, counsel, at once. Juror number 2, do you think perhaps that this could be one of this novel alternative? Oh my, whatever do you mean? An alternative explanation as to how the victim was stabbed in the back. What are you talking about? We've demonstrated that the fourth book, The Lion's Pride, that was found at the scene of the crime, originated in Mr. Garadeb's room on the top floor of his house. Therefore, it's equally possible that some other object besides the book could have found its way from the Garadeb household to the street below. Huh? What's that now? After all, Mrs. Garadeb could have thrown any number of different objects at her husband. Isn't that right, juror number 4? What are you insinuating now, you little beanpole? I think you're a murderer and you should go away for at least a couple of 100 years. Yes. I'm beginning to think that ever since the true origins of this book came to light, perhaps she's had a feeling this might be what happened. Now listen here, you Eastern Gala. I'm not familiar with the word, but okay. As the foreman of this jury, I demand a straight answer. You give us this yarn about some other object making its way out of the house, but what? What was it? It was a knife, my dude. My dude, top hat man, it was a knife. I'm really taking a big gamble here. That was a bold accusation to make, but I haven't any real evidence to back it up. But I'm certain that at the very least, this warrants further investigation. Do we have the murder weapon? Oh right, the piece at the end was also gone. That's gonna be important later, I'm sure. Stab wound, olive green, stout build, 20 hours. Unconscious, cleaned personal effects. No other injuries. Alright, so the end of the knife is not in the victim itself then, apparently. Okay. Oh, right, sorry. I keep saying murderer, but like she's not dead though. Sorry. Yes, right. My bad. Alright, Mr. Foreman, I'll try to explain the defense's theory. The other object that found its way to the Garadeb household at the scene of the crime was this one. Ooh, sorry, not space. The R?
Take that!
Take that! Juror number 4, Mrs. Garadeb. What now? I must apologize in advance for this. But I need you to confirm something else for the court. This knife Have you ever seen this knife before? Ah. Good Lord, Counsel, what on earth are you doing? I'm telling you, she's a menace and should be held in a basement or something. Where she can pretend to be her own maid and not cause, pose a danger for other people or to herself. Yes. That's the weapon that was lodged into the victim's back, man. My lord, remember that when the victim was attacked, Mr. and Mrs. Garadeb were in the throes of an argument. Mrs. Garadeb was hurling anything she could at her husband, who had been backed up against the window. A window that had been opened to clear the smoke, and through which a book sailed to land at the crime scene. You can't seriously believe that the book was found in the victim's grasp. Wait, no, yes, that much we do know. That's the book. Are you saying that it flew out of the window and across the street to land neatly in her hand? Even my missus hasn't got an aim like that. Yes, I admit there are many details we don't yet understand. But that's the point. That's precisely why we must not allow this trial to end. Not right now. Oh my. Ah. Mrs. Garadeb, your answer please. Have you seen this knife before or not? I gotta say, she's pretty dumb if she's gonna say yes, but then again, who knows? Oh, Thud. That's a yes? Yeah, right? Can someone make her verdict to be not guilty? And then she could just go to prison, like, when she's waking up and we don't need to bother with her anymore? Yes? I wish to change my decision. I'm a woman of my word, after all. Thank you, madam. Yes, I agree. I certainly didn't see this coming, but I just don't think it would be right for this trial to come to an end with so many unanswered questions. Mr. Foreman. I'd have to agree. Not that I think the granny did it, mind. Yes, you know what? I'm not quite happy about this at the moment either. All together now, ladies and gents. But the granddad didn't change his mind yet. Why? Hadouken! Yes. We did it! Sure you can! And then we did it, yes. Hail Capcom! With the fireballs. Oh, congratulations, Mr. Naruhodo. Plead the fifth, yeah. So as a result of the defense's summation examination, a number of jurors' leanings have changed. 2 jurors called guilty against 4 now calling innocent. What's the deal with the granddad? Come on, why? Accordingly, the opinion of this court is divided. And this trial will continue. Right. Now then, Lord Van Zeeks, how does the prosecution wish to proceed? By drinking, it seems. That's the plan. There's a fake Santa Claus. I know. This trial is rapidly descending into a farce. Van Zeeks? My dude, I do agree. Probably for different reasons, though, but I do agree with you. It has been a farce for quite some time. Yes. Like a corked wine, the first few sips are bitter enough. Who's gonna clean up all the glass, my dude? Does someone get well paid for that? But what follows is so repugnant it's good for nothing save the gutter. If I may, Lord Van Zeeks, the defense has just put forward a credible alternative explanation for what happened. Credible? Is that your considered opinion, Mr. Foreman? The defense's argument is a joke to which I barely know how to respond, but let me start by insisting. as you must all familiarize yourselves better with the relative positions of those places being discussed. What do you mean by that? What's his angle this time? It should be already more than apparent that between the crime scene and the Garadeb household runs a rather wide street, Briar Road. Which means that the distance from the Garadeb's house to the scene is some, yes, 15 yards. 15 yards to meters is 13.7 meters. That's easy! I can throw a shot put that much on a good day. That's fine. Like, even without the elevation, like, that's nothing. Hell yeah. Well, like, in elementary school, I threw a shot put, or pushed a shot put at like 10.5 meters. So, yeah. That's around 40 meters, yeah, a touch under. That's nothing. That's nothing. So, like, from a high window, that is nothing. Like, she could throw anything that far from a high window. Come on now. 14 meters? That's a little further than I'd imagined. I thought it was about the same that I thought it would be. That's fine. It's a high enough window. She can throw anything, and it's just an unlucky throw, and she should be in jail forever. Yes. And as you ladies and gentlemen of the jury rightly noted as having pretentious significance, the fourth book was found in the victim's clutches. In other words, the smoldering book wantonly hurled by the lady of the house traveled some 15 yards to land on the opposite side of the road, neatly between the collapsed victim's finger and thumb. It doesn't mean that, it just means that she saw the book, picked up the book, and then when she was picking up the book, a knife landed in her body, and then there we are. Is that your final conclusion, my learned and deluded friend? It is my current theory, yes. For once we all agree, yeah. And did the jackknife follow the near identical trajectory to plunge into the middle of the victim's back? Yes. This fantasy is somewhat stretched in the notion of having a bad day for the victim, I think. This is true, but have you not heard of the notion, Mr. Van Zeeks, that, for example, how people can shoot their guns into the air, and that bullet, if you're really unlucky enough, can land into someone and then cause injuries, you know? Like, that's actually unsafe, you know? It's superbly unlucky, but it has probably happened. Same thing here. You throw enough garbage at a street, someone's gonna get hurt. Like, that's how cities happen sometimes. My dude. My lord dude. Van Zeeks. Yes. Even those pathetic serialized detective stories have more believable plots. Hey Van Zeeks, I'm not disagreeing with you, but this is an Ace Attorney game. Have you seen that one case at the circus where a cape magically flew upward from nothing to lodge itself into a statue? Like a full, you know, half a meter into it from an opposite trajectory to launch itself into it and then be pulled up with it. Have you seen that one? Yes? It defies the laws of physics themselves. This one is unlikely, but doesn't defy the laws of physics, at least. So, you know. Ruinosuke, you're being too dramatic. We're on solid ground here in comparison to that one. Just deep breaths and let's go. Nothing I can say to that. Can I take his place? I have plenty to say to this. That prosecutor loves the sound of his own voice. Sure. Also, if I were him, I'd love my wardrobe as well, though. Just saying. Mr. Sato. Serialized detective stories are pathetic, are they? How dare he? Maybe let's pick our battles here. My lord, might I be allowed to speak? As judicial assistant, you may speak for the defense, yes. Go ahead. The prosecution may consider the idea a fantasy, but what the defense has postulated was believable enough to persuade the jury to change its leaning. And as such, the court has a duty to explore this alternative explanation as thoroughly as possible. To that end, juror number 4, Mrs. Joan Garadev, must be called to testify and submit to cross-examination. Yes! Susato, I've had some mixed opinions about you in this game. You're on point on this one, though. She should have been a witness from day one. And just cross-examine, yes, absolutely. Hell yes. Saints alive! No, Santa Claus alive. Different thing. Or Saint, what was Santa Claus originally? Saint, oh boy. Oh god. The, some sort of Saint Kris Kringle or whatever it was again. I forget, but still. A cross-examination of a juror? Yes. Shouldn't be in the jury. We've established that they're related to the crime scene. The book. My dude. Come on. Order. Well, this is a highly irregular. Santa, just let us just take the reins and you can worry about the reindeer on your own. It's fine. It is unprecedented for a member of the jury to be summoned to witness. Is it? Considering how from a small pool you take your jurors, it does seem quite likely that they're gonna be connected to the crime already. Like, one of the jurors happened to be a witness in a previous crime just yesterday, and now you've gotten one who's a witness to this crime. Or at least is related to the crime scene in some way. Unprecedented just means that you don't do your job, my dude. My dude.
Objection!
Objection! That's 10 cents of returnable glassware you just threw into the trash. That's against recycling ideals. Yes. And unnecessary. Lord Van Zeeks. Ah! There are already witnesses in the stand whose testimony the defense may further cross-examine. If my learned friend's farcical theory has any truth in it, then both a burning book and a jackknife must have flown through the sky before this couple's eyes. I don't know, it was a misty day, wasn't it? And we must assume they would have been able to testify accordingly. No. We've already established that the book, however how it ended up on the crime scene, is from juror number 4's home. Therefore, related to the crime scene. Everyone, what the hell's wrong with you? Like, seriously, come on. Just... I realize that it's like a farcical take on a courtroom drama and everything, but it's so silly how they just don't follow any stream of logic. It's kind of... I don't know. Like... Apart from a couple of cases in the main series, I feel like the Ace Attorney game still followed like a system where, to at least some extent, there was some sort of a logical through line of how things were proceeding, right? But in here, it's just like we keep establishing this obvious fact, and then they just like, oh, we're just gonna not pursue that thing. Like, it's the equivalent of like finding a glove of someone else in the crime scene and then like, well, there's no reason to cross-examine then because that glove should have been seen by someone else instead. I'm like, what? Like that doesn't happen in the main series, I'm pretty sure. Like, come on. What say you, witnesses? Yes, sir. Constable Roy Beach reporting for duty, sir. Well. Good morning, officer. Sorry for dozing off until now, sir. I haven't slept for a month on account of a villain who's appeared on my beat, sir. Oh, they are so heroic, these London bobbies. Patricia, my darling, I've been neglecting you, but no more. Oh, Rolly, my hero, you'd make me swoon. That's nice. Very well, I hereby reject the defense's request. Santa, should we put you on trial for, like, some sort of obstruction of justice? Like, come on now. We've established that the book is their book. We've also gotten the juror to admit that she threw that book out the window. On top of which, she fainted upon us asking if she's seen the murder weapon. Yelling no or whatever. And Santa's like, oh, well, I'm going to reject the defense's claim because it's not Christmas. Like, fuck, what? Come on. Oh, this is so dumb. And order the witnesses in the stand to testify again. Like, this is so stupid. Like, I keep running into the problem. I think it was Ironemp or someone who said that it's really hard to write a drama if everyone's the fool. And this is the problem with this game still. Like, the only straight man to some sort of an extent is Ruinosuke, but even that's kind of pushing it, you know? He's a bit of like a silly loser if in a bit. Kind of like Phoenix Wright, but maybe even a bit less capable in a small bit. In the mainline series, what usually happens is, Phoenix is almost the straight man, and the prosecutor is very much like a no-nonsense, logical reasoning. Sometimes evil, sometimes not, but still logical in reasoning. It's still sort of the case here, but he seems a little more caricaturist with, like, you know, boot here and chalice there and maybe the main point is that in the main game, the judge is easily swayed, but in multiple occasions in the main series, the judge, like, sees reason, overrules the prosecution's clear, like, desperate attempt to avoid going further in a witness examination or whatever, and just, no, this needs investigation, let's do it. In this one, it's every witness is an absolute moron and idiot, and so is the judge. And everyone's a fool, and it gets so silly that it's hard to take seriously. Like, there's that extra step of too far silly that takes it a little too, you know? Like, it's hard to really immerse yourself in the story and the mystery when everyone's an absolute Harley Quinn here. Like, it's just, State forthwith before the court on any details pertaining to the defense's alternative explanation of events. Like, the main series just balances that seriousness just enough to land. This one is just everyone's a fool, and it's such a farcical comedy that this doesn't... Like, it's the equivalent of, like, Thomas the Tank Engine dealing with murder cases. It just doesn't... There's something a little too silly about it, and it just doesn't work. Constable Beats report. This case has nothing to do with Mr. and Mrs. Garada. Believe me, a London Bobby is good for his word. Except when you're lying. You see, sir, the windows on the top floor where the Garada house are top-hinged casements. Obviously, if anything had been thrown out the window, they would have seen it. We would have seen it. I'd leave the scene to go and fetch help, but my trusty Rolly was there to make sure nothing was disturbed. I didn't take my eye off the crime scene for the moment, sir. Nothing strange to report on that front. No. You saw the crime scene after she was already stabbed, though. So anything that was thrown before, you would have been like, oh, I saw nothing because I'm a moron. So yeah, liar. Jail time to both of these as well. Thus was quite startling. Top hinged casement windows. I don't believe them. That detail was not in the police report, Constable. Ah yes, sorry about that. I must have been a little drowsy. You cannot excuse your sins with drowsiness every time, Constable. No, sir. Sorry, but... what exactly is a top-hinged casement window? And you? You cannot excuse your ignorance with such trite remarks, my learned friend. See, we're still friends, though. Of course, sorry. I found it, Mr. Naruhodo. Cast your mind back to the windows in Mr. and Mrs. Garadeb's room. Right, I'll try. So the window opens in order to allow air to circulate inside the house. But as it is a top-hinged casement window, it swings open along the upper edge. And there's just enough space there to throw a book 15 yards. Right there. So that's still... that doesn't mean anything. I immediately saw the hole in the thing. Yes. I'm glad you rectified your ignorance. A casement window's most prominent feature is its stay, a metal bar which prevents the window from being opened beyond a certain amount. It prevents its opening? This is all news to me. Absolutely correct, sir. In other words, if a book or a knife were to have been thrown through the open window, it would have clattered against the panel and fain and fallen straight down the pavement below. No, there is an opening right there. You are all being a dum-dum. Opening right there. No, because no, it's just wrong. They're lying. You see the problem then. Good. Your education in Windows is complete. There was never any possibility of either the book or the knife traveling 15 yards over the road. You are wrong, and yes, there was. And considering how sometimes the logic being logic in this one, they might as well just be transformer houses and they just open into a robot and then the whole wall is open and they threw them in there anyway and the witnesses saw nothing because they were so hard in love or something, like, whatever. That is, unless the window pane had been shattered, something we've discounted already. That can't be! It's not! Don't worry about it, it's not. They're all lying. Did you see that, Rolly? That young Japanese man just collapsed in agony. Yes, my darling, I saw it. I saw how he crumbled before me. Oh, I'm gonna crumble you into pieces right from your neck. Right, just with a... I have a katana, don't push me. How is this happening? I haven't even started the cross-examination yet, and already my argument's been destroyed. Counsel, if you could drag yourself upright again, the court awaits your cross-examination, and I would like for you to bring juror number 4 to being cross-examined, you moron Santa Claus. Come on. My lord, oh good, another desperate situation. Let's go. Constable Beats report. Okay, let's start pressing.
Hold it!
Hold it! How can you say that for certain? A very good question, sir. And the answer is this. It has to be the noble founding principles of the force written on it as a reminder to all of us policemen of our sworn duty. He showed us that before, didn't he? Did he? I can't say I remember. To patrol the streets of London town and uphold the peace of the common man, it's what the job's all about. And lying in a courtroom, apparently. And that is why I can stand here today beside my long-suffering wife and tell you Bobby's good for his word. No, he's not. While rubbing by my tired eyes admittedly, sir. Oh, Rolly, you're so manly. Of course I am, darling Patricia. Deep, deep sigh. I meant, how can you say for certain that this case has nothing to do with Mr. and Mrs. Garadeb? Ah, I see. You should have said so earlier, sir. Yes, well, so could you answer the question? That was a waste of time, then. Absolutely, sir. I will answer it to the fullest of my abilities, sir. There's a surprising reason why Mr. and Mrs. Garadeb's domestic dispute can't be related to the case. There's a book! Come on! But before I get into that, sir, just one thing. Would you like me to punch you in the face just to wake you up a bit more? I could do that. With a katana, even. I'd very much like you and all your countrymen to understand the Great British Institution of Scotland Yard. Oh, the one where you lie in court all the time? So I hope you'll take back some tales of us London bobbies and how we uphold our guiding principles. I wasn't planning on going back just yet. I've only just arrived here. So to that end, sir, I'd be happy to lend you my warrant card for your perusal. But I must warn you, you won't be able to get through it without shedding a few tears. Thank you, I'll try. Interesting. Let's look into it. Item 1. A policeman will strive to preserve the peace within his allotted beat. Item 2. A patrolling officer is expected to walk 20 miles around his beat every day for the furtherance of community relations. Metropolitan Police Regulations. Is that... yeah. Item 1. Any crimes fall under the jurisdiction of the beat in which they are discovered. When a crime is... Item 2. When a crime is discovered on his beat, the policeman must assist with initial investigations and help detectives. Do we have limits of the beats, for example? Or are they coming up?
Hold it!
Hold it about the top hinged things. But by which you mean they don't open fully, is that correct? Yes, sir. They're just there to allow a bit of air through the house, you see. They're restricted as to how much they open. And therefore, anything thrown out of the window from inside the room would simply strike the pane and fall to the street directly below. For clarity, allow me to mark the map. Here is the location where objects would have fallen. Yeah, but they didn't, did they? That's the problem. How is the book in the hands of the victim? You have not answered that question at all. Did you go there and pick up the book? I mean, maybe, but again... Yes, directly opposite the scene of the crime, on the other side of the rather wide road. Would it have been so hard for somebody to mention this top-hinged casement thing before? Again, but there's a side to the window, like at an angle it can go far. Well, I have another question for you, Constable. And what would that be, sir? How do you even know? Why would you have any idea what sort of windows Mr. and Mrs. Garadeb's house is furnished with? Ah, well, sir, that's very simple. You see, I helped with the investigation yesterday.
Excuse me!
Excuse me! Do you have something to add, Mrs. Beat? Sorry. You look, well, delighted. Is there some particular reason for that? Oh, I was just remembering. That's all. Really were so lucky. Lucky? What do you mean? Well, of course I feel terrible for the poor woman who was attacked. Don't misunderstand me, please. Oh, so what you're telling me is you're a sociopath. Okay. That sounds about right. But we were just so lucky it didn't happen on Rolly's beat. Ah! There we are. That's the key. Oh, I hadn't realized. Oh yes, that street, Briar Road. That's the boundary between Rowley's beat and the next one. So where's the other constable, then? Isn't that right, my love? Constable beat. Oh, yes, that's right. That's the reason I was helping out with the interviewing the occupants of the Gadadip household yesterday. Their house is on my beat, you see. That really was cutting it close then. Constable, I wonder if you could clarify something. If the Gadadip household is on your beat, does that mean that the pavement next to it is as well? Outside Mr. Gadadip's house? Yes, ma'am. The pavement on that side of the road is part of my beat. I see. I was unaware of that. Just think, if the woman had been attacked just on the other side of Briar Road, we would have never been able to go for that meal to celebrate our wedding anniversary. That's the life of a Bobby, after all. Extraordinary people are Bobbies, tirelessly working for the benefit of all Londoners. Do you know what I think? I think it was the good Lord's way of rewarding my Rowley for all his hard work. Right. Don't you think so, my darling? That must be it, Pat, my love, that must be it. I think perhaps we should make sure that we have that information officially on record. Leave it to me, Mr. Naruhodo, I'll take care of it immediately. The pavement where the victim was found lies just outside Constable Beat's beat, the border of which runs down the middle of the bright... Yeah, so where's the other constable and why are we not interviewing that one? So... But where do I press on the... Let's press on the other stuff some more, but yeah.
Hold it!
Hold it! But according to my notes here, the sun had gone down already and it was dark. Oh, but Rowley and I were strolling along, gazing at the night sky and looking for our lucky star. Sorry? The star that will guide us to eternal happiness. Can't it guide you to answer the question? If a flaming book had cut across the sky in front of us, it would have lit up like a shooting star. And if I'd seen a shooting star, I would have made a wish upon it. Let Rowley be an inspector, I would have said, 3 times at least. Of course, what with the smog and everything, we couldn't actually see any stars. In short, are you trying to say that neither a book nor a knife crossed the sky before you? Yes, sir, that is correct, sir. As sure as the night sky in London is starless, sir. It certainly seems like they're telling the truth. Does it? And then we saw the poor woman fall to the ground, so we ran straight over to help her. I did leave the scene and go fetch help, but my trusty Rowley was there to make sure nothing was disturbed.
Hold it!
Hold it! Yes, he said that you went on to a nearby police box to fetch another officer, is that right? That's right, yes. If it had been on Rowley's beat, I would have known exactly where I was going, of course. Don't feel bad, my love, you can't be expected to know the location of every police box on every beat. So Rowley told me the way, only I sort of got a little lost on the way. Patricia, my darling, that's why I love you. Your terrible sense of direction is bewitching to me. Right. Okay. Oh, Pat. Oh, Rowley. Come on. Oh, please. So I suppose I was gone for about 15 minutes. But like I said, my Rowley was at the scene of the crime the whole time, making sure nothing was disturbed. I was off duty at the time, of course, but a true Bobby is never really off duty, sir. Didn't take my eye off the crime scene for one moment, sir. Nothing strange to report on that front.
Hold it!
Hold it! Nothing to report. That's correct, so I have my eyes wide open the entire time, never looked away for a second. No one else approached the scene and nothing was removed from it. I can swear to that on the yard's honor, sir. Really? That seems a little strange. Beg your pardon, so strange. Seems altogether regular to me. This burnt copy of the Lion's Pride was originally in the Garrideb household. So the question remains, how did it find its way into the hand of the victim? Can you shed any light on that, seeing as you were at the scene of the crime the entire time? Aha, could it be a different copy, sir? One that just happened to be burnt as well? Even if that were possible, why would the victim have been gripping a book like that in her hand? As you can see from this photographic print, she had a bag over her shoulder. Well, sir, that book was in the lady's hand from the moment we arrived at the scene. Is that so? Something about the statement is not sitting right with me. The two mysteries of how that knife ended up in her bag and how that book ended up in her hand, there must be some common thread between them. Can I ask you something? Please, Mr. Lawyer, sir? I'm not sure if you can. I'm worried. Your eyes seem like they're gonna turn people into stone. Oh, yes, of course. What is it? You're doubting us, aren't you? Yes. Absolutely. I think you're by the very least perjuring yourselves, and might as well be like who knows, you might be the stabbers themselves. Just like maybe the victim didn't fall in love with your love act, and you're like, how dare you? And so, you know. What? I wasn't really. I mean, what's she doing? Please, just because I'm a woman, it doesn't make my testimony any less valuable. No, that's not the point at all. I'm just saying because you are both quite not credible, just as people. You might just see me as the wife of a policeman, but I'm a woman of my word, I am. No witness in Ace Attorney is a person of their word. No witness. A couple of detectives are, I think, but that's it. No excuses, I don't want to hear it. My voice will be heard. My lord, you let me speak. You're speaking all the time. Yes, Mrs. Beat, I will allow you to supplement your testimony if you so desire. Sometimes the path of least resistance is the sage one. That was a very loud mutter. I heard that. Cool. That Japanese man thinks a policeman's wife's word counts for nothing, does he? Well, watch out, sir. I might let you get away with something like that, but my Rolly won't. Duly noted, Mrs. Beats. Please, I humbly ask you to continue. What could she possibly be about to say, I wonder? I know what I saw. My eyes never let me down. My sense of direction little off sometimes, though.
Hold it!
Hold it! Mrs. Beat, nobody is questioning what you... I do! I question. Yes. I saw it, I did. That evening I saw it clearly. That little Eastern man with the whiskers and the funny curved back slinking away from the scene. That much I believe is true, sure. And I know what I didn't see as well. I didn't see any flaming books or knives flying through the sky. The thing is, if you didn't see them, that doesn't mean they weren't there. That's like the principles of witnessing. You witnessing a negative doesn't necessarily prove anything without a reasonable doubt. All very clear. You also mentioned something about having a poor sense of direction.
Objection!
Ah! Lunar, thank you for the follow. Much appreciated. I hope you've had an excellent day. Oh, yes. Well, that's a little embarrassing, really. I'm always ending up at the wrong place when I've made arrangements to meet Rolly. He gets away. He gets ever so close. Hold on. Oh, come on. My mouse was in the wrong place and I couldn't get out. Come on. I got the wrong church on the way our wedding. I remember it caused terrible kerfuffle.
Excuse me.
Excuse me. There we are. Constable Beat, is there a problem? Huh? No, sir. No problem, sir. Did your wife's remark just now bring something to mind, perhaps? Oh, well, in a way, sir. Yes, sir. I was just remembering that the same thing happened that evening is all. Hmm? You mean Mrs. Beat lost her way on the night of the incident? Well, you see, I sent her off to find a police box in the next beat over from mine. But she was gone a fair bit longer than what I was expecting. I thought she'd be back inside 10 minutes, but my darling was gone a good 15. Oh, Rolly, you're such a tease. But the reason I was so long was because of the bouquet, silly. The bouquet? Sorry, what bouquet are you talking about? Oh, it was a present for our wedding anniversary. Rolly is so romantic. Right. He saved up for it with farthings and halfpennies he found in the gutter while doing his rounds. I mean, if I find a coin in the ground, I'll pick it up. Or an empty can of something if it means money, sure. Yes, how romantic. I'd forgotten all about it until just now, had you, my darling? Ah! Hmm? Ah, oh, yes. But that was just between us. No talking about it to anyone else, darling. You have to promise... Really? Oh. What was that all about? Constable Beat looked very obviously troubled during that exchange. I'm afraid I can't offer any useful insights, Mr. Naruhodo. But I'm quite sure of one thing. We have to ask Mrs. Beat about the bouquet. Is it the bouquet residence, Lady of the House peeking? Yes. If you've seen Keeping Up Appearances, the British comedy TV show with oh boy, Patricia Routledge or something. Very good. I grew up with that show. It was great. Mrs. Beat, this bouquet you just mentioned. I'd like you to add details about it to your testimony, please. Oh, really? Yes, I'd love to. This lady again. Exactly. Hi, I'm Hack. Hello to you too. I hope you had a good walk with a doggo and stuff. What happened was I dropped my bouquet and ended up losing my way for a while.
Hold it!
Hold it! You mean you dropped the bouquet at the scene of the crime? Yeah, I figured back, but hack sounded somehow fun to say. Yes, that's right. I was so upset. When we ran over and saw it was a woman with a knife in her back, I was so shocked I dropped the bouquet Rolly gave me. So, hold on. So, your husband just now said, and I would like to quote, "By the honour of the London Scotland Yard Bobby Police word of boobliboo," yes? He said that the crime scene was not disturbed in any way, yes? And now Patricia's saying, "Oh, but I dropped my bouquet on the crime scene." See, I told you they were lying. Like, that is a Bobby perjuring himself, jail, she can keep her company in jail, and it's all good, yes? Yes, good, thank you. Case closed. It was in a dark spot where the streetlights weren't casting any light, so I didn't notice it at first. And then you went to the police box to report it to the policeman whose beat it was on. Yes, and I came back to the scene together with the other constable, you see. That's when I spotted my bouquet again, but the funny thing was when I went to pick it up, it was nowhere near the victim's body at all. So the victim was moved. In case you need reminding, Mrs. Speed, the victim is not deceased. True. I was all flustered for a moment before I heard a voice calling me from the other side of the... The body was moved! Roy, you corrupt piece of Bobby! Jail! 50,000 years of jail! He probably killed her too. Or stabbed her too. That's it. But that's the face of a murderer right there. That is the droopy, sleepy face of a murderer. Yes. Also, that's beside the point. Me too, though. It's fine. That's a lot of jail, but well, I mean, we have to account for the fact that maybe he's an alien who lives a long time, so we just gotta cover all of our bases, you know? Your husband, presumably. That's right, silly me. I'd gone over to the wrong side of the street. No, I think you're on the right side of the street. Your boy there moved the body because he didn't want it to be on his beat, did he? You corrupt piece of garbage. Although I'm going to blame the bouquet this time, I can't think how it got there, really can't. Your solicitor is making me want sparkling water, but I'm all I need to pick up some later. I just have to keep my throat, like, flowing with something, because I've tried doing streams without drinking, like, soda, water, something else, and eventually it starts hurting and burning so bad. Like, it's pretty rough. That's fair, yeah. Like, I've tried and it starts burning so bad. It's like, oof. Curious indeed. Isn't it? But the worst of it is I forgot to pick the bouquet up again when we left the scene. Oh, interesting. This gets even more and more weird. So, hydration is important. This is true. Although I do always have to admit that like soda is a what's the English word for it? The thing that kind of dries you up in the long run in a weird way, but yeah. Diuretti. What the hell is that in English? Still, like it at least keeps the throat not burning up, you know. Diuretic? Maybe, yeah. Makes you pee, yeah. That beautiful rose Rolly bought me with that change from the gutter he spent so long collecting. By bouquet... Caffeine, that is. Yeah, that too. Do you perhaps mean this sorry solitary rose? Oh. Oh, yes, that's it. That's the bouquet Rolly brought me for our anniversary with old bits of change he found in the gutter. I mean, I have a lot of problems with the lady character there, but at least she appreciates a person working hard to get her a rose. You know? Finding coins in the gutter is hard work, man. Maybe just call it a rose. It's interesting that the Finnish word sounds so similar to the English one. Yeah, it's... Many, like very civilized sort of words about, you know, science and biology and whatever, they kind of, like, get turned from the Anglo-Saxon word in the end. Like, they don't have a good root, oftentimes, in, like, old weird languages that didn't really, you know... We're not in the forefront of sciences, you know? Technical words, yeah, because like the technical term was created probably in English or Latin or whatever at first, right? And then that thing was not as such maybe discovered, at least not in that sense discovered in, for example, Finland or Hungary or whatever. And then that word gets just like Finishized when we hear that word and we need to use it for like technical stuff, you know? Why invent a new one when you can pillage? The motto of English language. Yeah, I mean, and the motto of most languages anyway. Like, languages do happen because people speak it in a way that makes sense to them. Like, when someone hears a word that describes a thing, and then they don't have a word for it themselves, they tend to, like, in their own head even, an individual tends to, like, use it as a different thing. Like, you know, like, say, we don't really translate, say, skateboarding tricks. It's just kick flips and ollies and whatever, right? And front side ollies and so on, right? Like, why bother? Like when a skateboarder who speaks Finnish hears the trick name, he just starts using it anyway, and it doesn't matter. He or she, yeah, still, just dumb example, but still, that's how languages work. They just, like, you know, borrow stuff. Tell us, Lord Van Zeeks, ready to come buy the flower. Is Lord Van Zeeks a secret romantic who picks up roses? Yes? According to the report by the police officer in charge of the crime scene investigation. Also, where is he? Because this is not the same beat of this one, yes? It was found on the edge of the pavement in front of the Garadep household. In front of the Garadep's house. The body was moved. Although it wasn't noticed until the morning as it lay where the street lamps cast no light. It was believed to be of no relevance to the case since it was found on the opposite side of the thoroughfare. Oh, thank you, sir, thank you. Could I have it back now, please? No, I think for good measure this rose should be added to the court record as evidence. FJ, wait. Yeah, I think... You bought a car in Forza. Well, good. Congratulations for the car in Forza. Looking at the libraries in someone. Alright. You have to help me on who is the annoying one. As PF from Ace Attorney. You mean like, boy. Okay, but was she a prosecutor, or like, yeah, do a Discord pick, yeah, sure. Yeah. I present for Patricia Beat from her husband, Rolly. The shock of seeing the stabbed victim caused Mrs. Beat to drop the rose where she stood. Again, I think the body was moved. That's my thinking here. Anniversary bouquet. It's honestly, for one rose, it's a pretty thing, though. Just saying. But it's a symbol of our love. Yes, Okay, let me check. Oh, that one! The Case 2 in Ace Attorney Justice for All. The... what the hell was her name? It was something simple, like one word. And it was like an alias anyway. Hold on. Ace Attorney... I gotta check this. Justice for all characters... A rainstorm is outside. Let's hope it doesn't get into a thunder. Well, let's say maybe case 2 is gonna help me a little bit. Like, there was like the turnabout of the like reunion and turnabout and whatever. Like 4-1 trial. Eeny Miny, I believe, was either the yeah, that one. I forget if Eenie Meenie was the name of the dead sister or the one we established, but yes, that one. Eenie Meenie and Mimi Meenie were the sisters, and I believe, yeah, one of them died, and one of them then took the identity of the dead one, looking like that. Yeah. And if I can roll back a little bit. Let's see. So Mimi Miney was the one who was killed, and Eenie Miney is the one who was pretending to be Mimi Miney. Yeah, that's how it went. Yeah. Yeah, Eenie Miney was yeah. As I explained, yeah. Mimi Miney was the one who died, and then Eenie Miney took that appearance to look like her sister, which looks like that. Yeah. I want it back after the trial, do you hear me? I want it back. Good grief, rest assured that I shall do my very best not to forget, Mrs. Beat. I didn't take my eye off the crime scene for one moment, sir. Nothing strange to report. Okay, I need a safety save because I've uncovered a lot of weird testimony. But I need to just make sure I have it all under wraps here. So I... hold on. Do I press on the rose then? Anything weird to see about this? It's very stylish paper with the flowers wrapped in, isn't it? It's just an old newspaper, Mr. Naruhara. Oh, I suppose it's because I'm not used to seeing English print. It looks exotic to me. Ah, I see. Is something wrong? Oh, no. I was just thinking that if you wrapped a stone-baked sweet potato in English newspaper, it might look like some sort of fancy cake. Ah, Sato-san, you do love your cakes. An English rose. It's such a beautiful flower. This is a rose, is it? I've never seen one before. Do you not take an interest in flowers, Mr. Naruhara? I wouldn't say that exactly, but I do know the types at least. Gosh, 3? Yes, plum blossom, peach blossom, and cherry blossom. Perhaps you should consider branching out, learning some that aren't fruit tree based, for example? Okay, so I don't see anything that springs to mind from beyond this. Is this just the same thing? Okay, so fine. This might be... well, I have a safety save.
Objection.
A bit of a risky strike, but... You claim, Constable Beat, there was nothing to report in the 15 or so minutes you were guarding the scene. But that cannot be. Don't fall asleep on me now, my dude. What do you mean to say? I mean, your husband is lying and he should be in jail forever. That's what I mean to say. In your testimony just now, Mrs. Beat, you explained to this court that when you arrived back at the scene of the crime, the policeman assigned to that beat, the bouquet you had dropped at the victim's side was no longer anywhere nearby. This is true.
Objection!
Objection! Yes, on the opposite side of Briar Road to where the victim was attacked. Right. But considering the size of that meager bouquet... Meager? Meager bouquet, if a single sorry bloom can be described... No doubt it was blown in the wind across the street, back into the gutter where it belongs. It If it's a really foggy day, does that make sense that it was windy too, though? Meteor?
Objection!
Objection! But if that were the case... But I'm glad you mentioned the Forza thing though, FJ. It's fun how small the world is and Ace Attorney references just like come back to haunt us. Why did Constable Beat not testify to the fact? No one else approached the scene and nothing was removed from it. Constable Beat swore to that on the Scotland Yard's honour. But the bouquet belonged to me, it has nothing to do with the case. That's why Rolly didn't mention it, I'm sure. No, because sadly, it's not only your bouquet we're talking about here. More than one thing in this case is mysterious the wrong way round. Mysteriously the wrong way around. What are you talking about? The ghost of cases past. Yeah. Had to mess with that. Yeah. Watching you play an exact game series. Yep. I know. Think about it. Besides Mrs. Beat's bouquet, there's Mr. Garadeb's book. Mr. Garadeb's copy of The Lion's Pride, which was thrown out of the window by his wife, would have struck the pane of the casement window and landed here on the west side of the street. And yet, it was actually found here on the opposite side of the road in the victim's hand. Meanwhile, according to the testimony we've heard, Mrs. Beat's bouquet should have been dropped here at the scene of the crime on the east side of the street. But in fact, it was actually found here on the opposite side of this road in front of Mr. and Mrs. Garadeb's house. There's no logical explanation for those things, unless somebody deliberately moved them. Also, the maid seems to be upright again, or Mrs. Garadeb seems to be upright again and sitting. What are you trying to say? The way you're talking sounds like you think my Rolly's done something wrong. Don't you listen to a word of that scrawny lawyer says. Wittering on about books and bouquets, why should we care? It's nitpicking, if that's what it is. Oh good, Mrs. Garadeb's come round. You might call it nitpicking, Mrs. Garadeb. But deliberately meddling with the scene of a crime is a criminal offense. It's called, tampering, Mr. Naruhodo. But the person responsible for the tampering cannot admit to it. For a very subtle but compelling reason.
Objection!
Objection! Tampering? You've barely heard the term before. Tell us, my learned friend. Who would possibly have had cause to carry out such an elaborate deception? Actually, Rolly would have had that. Yeah, so save. Because it would be then not on his beat. Yes, there is someone who tampered with the scene of the crime at that evening. All the evidence and all the testimony points to that one particular person. Counsel, I must demand that you substantiate this conjecture. Who are you saying is responsible for tampering with the scene of the crime? It was... Susato, we're gonna throw you to the wolves, I'm sorry. Okay, fine. It was the Chief Justice... Okay, fine. It was Sherlock Sholmes. Actually, I could believe that. But it was actually him. Rolly Beat.
Take that!
Take that! Obviously, there's only one person it could have been. Constable Rolly Beat. It was you! Bah, bah, bah. What? A policeman? A member of Scotland Yard? What nonsense! Why would my Rolly do something like that? There's no one straighter than my husband. No Bobby works more tirelessly for the people of London. Mrs. Beat, you said in your testimony that your husband asked you to go to a nearby police box to fetch the officer on duty. The 15 minutes that you were absent from the scene is the only opportunity anyone had to tamper with it. Making it up, it's all nonsense, it's all lie. No, Rolly's lying. See, I told you Rowley was lying. I told you all along from day one. Perjury, tampering, 55,000 years of jail. What about that Japanese man with the whiskers? I bet it was him. He did it.
Objection!
Objection! If that was true, Constable Beat would have seen him do it. Oh. And forgive me for pointing it out, but when you dropped your bouquet, Mrs. Beat, it was after the defendant had fled the scene. Ah, well...
Objection!
Objection! First you make accusations about the landlord and his wife, and now you incriminate a policeman as well. Because they're lying and they tampered with the evidence. But your accusations lack one very important thing. Well, I don't have video proof of it, but it's obvious they did it though. You claim the crime scene was tampered with. But there's only one reason anyone would commit such a reckless crime: to hide something. That's right, he is right. But my husband and I it appeared to happen to be there, that's all. So why would he have anything to hide? It doesn't make sense. You've offered no motive for this alleged tampering. The motive is to not want to deal with the crime itself. That's the thing. And until you do, your accusations are nothing but empty threats. Constable Beat had a very good reason for wanting to tamper with the scene of the crime. That's the key to this entire affair. Mr. Naruhodo, have you managed to solve this mystery? Counsel, you have made a very serious accusation against a London police officer. If you are mistaken, I'm sure I need not point out that your reputation as a lawyer will be irrevocably damaged. Honestly, this court of mindless idiots, hapless morons, headless chickens, this courtroom does not have the grounds to say anything about anyone's reputation. It's a bundle of morons who have no grounds to say anything. With that stark warning in mind, you will now explain to the court the motive for this alleged tampering. Yes, my lord. Constable Beat's motive for tampering with the crime scene was to hide where the victim fell. Where the victim fell to the ground. That is what this Bobby had to cover up at all costs. What? Where the victim fell? You mean where she was attacked? What are you talking about? We told you at the very start, didn't we? On the pavement of Briar Road, we saw it happen, remember? Right here, as if anyone didn't already know. That's certainly what everybody has been led to believe. But in fact, that isn't where the victim was stabbed at all. Hmm? Ah? I'm beginning to wonder where this tumultuous trial will end, Counsel. If that's your assertion, then the court's dying to know, my Nipponese friend. Where are you proposing that the crime actually took place that evening? Here. Right here.
Take that!
Take that! But that's... on the opposite side of the road? I don't understand. On the evening in question, Mr. Garadeb's book fell directly down from the open window above, and your bouquet, Mrs. Beat, never moved at all. What did move was the scene of the crime itself. Good gracious!
Objection!
Objection! Perhaps you haven't been listening to the ample testimony the court has heard. But these witnesses both saw the moment the attack took place. That's right, I saw it with my own eyes. It was 5 o'clock in the evening and already dark. There was the typical London fog on the ground. But when you saw the incident unfold and ran to the victim's aid, that was actually on the west side of Briar Road. That's not true! It can't have been! Constable Beat then arranged for you to be absent for a while by sending for you for help. And during the 15 minutes you were away, he transplanted the crime scene. He moved all the things shown in the sprint, the victim herself, the 4 books, He moved everything, in fact, to the pavement on the east side of Briar Road. Extraordinary. Not even in Christmas have I heard such things. But the constable overlooked one thing. What did he overlook? The bouquet, I presume. Exactly. The prosecution told the court just a few minutes ago about the discovery of the rose bouquet. Lord Van Zeek said it wasn't noticed until the morning, as it lay where the street lamp cast no light. Yes, it couldn't be seen in the dark, obviously. Which is why it was only the bouquet that was found in its original position, on the pavement on the west side of Briar Road. And that is the defense's theory about what really happened that evening. How do you respond? Constable Rowley Beat. Well, I'm very sorry. I didn't mean to nod off again, but I haven't slept properly in a month. Did I miss anything important? Oh, Rowley. It isn't true, isn't it, what the lawyer said is all lies, isn't it? I know it is, because you're the most upstanding, righteous man I know. No, he's a liar, a tamperer, and should be in jail. I had a dream, a terrible dream. All the things I did that night. Everything come out, everything. Exposed. Only it seems it wasn't a dream at all. Good golly! Not even in Christmas has any of my elves been this corrupt! How dare you! Like, I've seen elves eat cookies, but this one takes the cake! What on earth is the meaning of all of this? Oh, Rolly, why? Why would you do something like this? Moving a corpse is a criminal offense, isn't it? Wishing the victim dead should be one too. Constable, explain yourself. Why would you do this? As a respected member of Scotland Yard, your duty is to protect the good people of London Town. I can't say, sir. What? I really am ever so sorry about all this. For damaging the Yard's reputation. For everything. Jail time, 20 years. 20,000 years. Plus the 55,000 already on top. Yes. I have a possible explanation for why on that particular evening, Constable Beat felt compelled to move the scene of the crime. I can think of one reason. What? How could you possibly know? It's Van Zeeks, you gotta be listening, man. You gotta live up to that wardrobe and just be logical, my dude. He wanted to rest. He wanted to give it the crime to the other dude in the other beat. You know? You, a foreigner, presuming to understand the mind of a Scotland Yard policeman. And yet, Lord Van Zeeks, it is this foreigner who has uncovered the startling truth of the matter thus far. I believe it would be beneficial to the court to hear this extraordinary young lawyer's theory. Counsel for the defense, if you please. Yes, my lord. Now then, I think you had better show us some evidence. Can I just show as evidence the very closed eyelids of the witness who should be in jail? Yes, yes. At once, my lord. England, Japan, it makes no difference where you come from. Human emotions are the same, and all witnesses always lie. Yes. And I think I have a fairly good idea on the feelings behind this man's actions. What gives away the motive for Constable Beat's unthinkable actions? Warrant card. I'll maybe do a safety save, but warrant card.
Take that!
Take that! I realize that I'm a foreigner in this land, and I have only just arrived from Japan, which is why all this information about London's so-called bobbies is completely new to me. I've learned that, though honorable, patrolling the beat is the most demanding work in the world, for example. Keeping the peace, looking after the citizens on this beat in all kinds of ways. There's no doubt that the young Bobby is charged with a great deal to do each day, certainly. But for one constable beat, the day in question was special. Special? How? On account of this bouquet, my lord. Oh yes, it was our very first wedding anniversary. Constable Beat had worked so hard to be able to afford this simple gift for his wife, and was looking forward to taking her out for a celebratory meal, when he and Mrs. Beat stumbled upon a crime along Briar Road. When he saw that shadowy figure through the fog collapse on the pavement ahead of them, what must have gone through the man's mind? But sir, just on that one particular day I was looking forward to celebrating my wedding anniversary. Mrs. Beat puts up with a lot being married to a bobby like me. I wanted to show my dear wife how much I care. This is the warrant card that Constable Beat offered to lend to me earlier. Inside, among the rules of patrolling policemen, it says, when a crime is discovered on his beat, a policeman must assist with initial investigations and help detectives. Aha! Constable Beat. Is that or is that not the reason why you moved the whole scene of the crime that day? Yes. Everything you said. It's all right. So that's it. It was all to do with the boundary of your beat. Oh. Exactly. To summarize. The incident actually occurred on Constable Beat's beat. Good gracious! Constable, do you realize the gravity of what you have done? It was the first time since I became a copper that I'd ever cursed God. Stay close to me, Pat. The criminal could still be lurking somewhere. As we ran over to the scene, I had every intention of doing my duty as a police officer. You've got to report this to the station as quickly as possible. But then it dawned on me. I realized where we were, where the victim was lying, and what that meant for me. When a crime is discovered on his beat, a policeman must assist with initial investigations and help detectives. Why here? Why did this have to happen here? And why tonight of all nights? Why? And therefore I decided to become a felon, yes. It's a copper's job to guard the scene of the crime, so I told Pat she'd have to go to the nearest police box and fetch whoever was on duty there. It was then when I opened my mouth to speak. It just came out. I couldn't believe the words that were coming out of my own mouth. This is the next beat to mine, Pat. So you'll have to go to the police box that covers it. Turn right along Meerschaum Street and then... A long pause, apparently. And because of that, an innocent person was about to go to jail for the murder, and I believe that means you should then, let's say 124,000 years and a couple of months on top. How's about that? I think that sounds about, reasonable. Yes, just to make sure he's learned a lesson, right? Like he really needs to learn a nice big lesson here. Yes. I'm going to prison, yes. Not good enough. Sorry is not good enough. Prison, jail, long time, yes. Oh, constable. I just wanted to go to prison. Yes, yes, I know. We can arrange that later, it's fine. Just that one night, to take my Patricia out for dinner. You can have a meal together in prison. She can keep you company during every fourth Sunday or something, I'm sure. Oh, Rolly, just that one night. You knew that if the incident was on your beat, your evening of celebration would be ruined. And so you decided to move the entire crime scene outside your jurisdiction. Just across the street to the east pavement of Briar Road, which falls under the neighboring beat's care. You see, I thought... Well, I was sure the victim was dead, you see. I beg your pardon? Oh, of course he did. Otherwise, my Rolly would never have left the poor one on the freezing cold pavement. Yeah, that's that problem as well. I see your meaning now. But God got me back from my sins, didn't he? Yes, jail! Long, many years. Have a good one, though. That's why I missed the rose I bought for Pat. Oh no, Rolly, it was all my fault. I should never have dropped it in such a dark place. I'm so sorry, Rolly. Nope, don't be sorry. That's how we caught up to your criminal husband. Yes, criminal, a felon. Felon! He's in cahoots with evil! Yes. And can you tell us, Constable, how many books did you move from the one side of the road to the other in total? Oh, 4 it was, yes sir. Definitely 4. 3 of them dropped by Mr. Natsume, and the 4th being the one that fell from the window upstairs in the Karadip household, of course. But what made you place that book in the victim's hand? When all the others were scattered haphazardly around, I mean. Oh, well sir, that's because that's how I found it. How you found it? So that's what happened. The victim had, like, leaned over to grab the book from the ground because it fell in front of her, and then the knife dropped on her back from the argument. That's how it happened. When we first ran over to the scene, the victim was already holding the book. So when I moved everything, I made sure it was still in her hand. You're sure it was this book, The Lion's Pride, that the victim was holding? Oh yes, sir. No doubt about it, sir. Interesting. Interesting. This is gonna turn out curious, that's for sure. I thought it was an open and shut case at the time, you see. There were only the 2 people at the scene, and Pat and me both saw it happen. I couldn't see the harm, really. I didn't think moving it all over the road would make a lot of difference. I suppose this is it for me now. I have had it. Yes, you have. Yes, long, just jail time. But you know, you can really consider your actions in jail. It'll be you can pay for your sins by dying of old age in prison. Yes, it's fine. Like, I so don't have sympathy for these characters who keep on lying on the stand and tampering with crime scenes to get innocent people to be, you know, put away for murder. Like, especially when that means the death penalty. Like, I have no sympathy for any of these people. Like, they're just horrible people. My lord. Yes, Lord Van Zeeks? I believe that concludes the cross-examination of the witnesses. Constable, you may withdraw. Yes, sir. Mr. Prosecutor, sir? What will become of my Rolly? What will happen to him? Jail. For now, you are free to go home. The police will contact you in due course. Please don't punish my husband. This is all my... Nope, that is his fault. Punish hard. Hard punishment. Yes. Yes. No windows. Let's go. It's because I'm always moaning at him for coming home late. Leave it now, Pat. Let's go home. I'm tired. Alright then, my love. One last thing, Constable. Sir? Let this be a lesson to you. In a criminal investigation, every detail matters, however insignificant it may seem to you. Yes, sir. Carve that lesson in your mind. And think on it in prison. And never again make the mistake of tampering with the scene of the crime after you've been to prison for, I mean, at least 20-25 years, right? Yeah? Never again, sir. You mean to say that there's gonna be crimes in your prison cell later? Yes, just come on. Leave, now. This trial is not yet over. I don't agree with even the hint of him just getting away unpunished. Like, that's hard jail time right there. That'll teach a lesson to these people. Quite startling revelation, I must say. Whoever thought of a third party transplanting the entire scene of a crime like that? Yes, whoever did. Indeed, my lord. Nevertheless, there are some immutable facts here, principally. That the accused, Mr. Soseki Natsume, is the only person who could possibly have committed this crime. Van Zeeks, come on! Now we know that they're under the window from which the debris and stuff fell, and so did the knife, it seems. You keep saying that it could possibly only have been him, and you don't seem to know what those words mean. Come on.
Objection!
No, I disagree. Now that we know the true scene of the incident, there is someone else. Another person who could be responsible for the knife in the victim's back. Forgive me for being presumptuous, but I believe the prosecution is probably well aware of the possibility already. Lord Van Zeeks, this is true. Very well. Name the person if you will, and if further investigation is warranted, the prosecution has no objection to the trial continuing. Name other person who could have perpetrated the crime. This one. And surely it was her. Take that! The defense would once again like to request the cross-examination of a new witness, my lord. Once again. My assistant made the same request earlier. In order to finally reveal the truth about this case. It's imperative that we cross-examine juror number 4, Mrs. Joan Garideb. Me? Me, oh dearie me! Yes! 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 Stab woman! Yes!
Objection!
Objection! The violent woman in the jury! Yes! Absolutely. That request has already been denied on false grounds, Van Zeeks.
Objection!
But the situation is very different now. Mrs. Garideb, answer me this. What do you want now, you little toad? At the time of the incident, you were engaged in a violent argument with your husband, Mr. John Garideb. In the course of the argument, a minor house fire was ignited, and to clear the smoke from the room, your husband opened a window that looks out over Briar Road. Well, what of it? You threw this book at your husband when he was cornered with his back against the window. Upon striking the pane of the open-hinged casement window, the book plummeted directly down, finding its way to what we now know to be the true scene of the incident. Yes, and as I said, what of it? During the argument, you were beside yourself with rage. As such, you threw not just books, but anything you could lay your hands on. So, let me ask you one more time, Mrs. Garadeb. This knife, the one removed from the victim's back, have you really never laid eyes on it before? Ah! I don't recall it. Well, that is a lie then. Perjury? Oh, actually, is a juror, do they have to be truthful? Nonetheless, cross-examine, and when you say that there, then we'll just go a little further into it. Although I suppose not recall is not technically speaking perjury, because you can't really prove that someone can or can't remember something. Still, she does actually remember it. It's her knife, and she threw it. Seriously? I'm not supposed to remember everything I picked up and threw at my husband? And anyway, the man over there is in all that regalia said that members of the jury needed to testify, didn't he? Conveniently, yes.
Objection!
Objection! No, I have no recollection of saying that at all. Juror number 4. Huh? Make no mistake. You jurors are not special in any way. You are not immune to the judicial process. If you know something about this knife, madam, let the truth come out. But that's just a common or garden knife. It could have come from anywhere. We have several like that at home. If one went missing, how would you expect me to know? What's that? Are you joking? What are you saying, please, Mrs. Garadeb? It's her knife. She threw it in jail time. Yes. Now listen to me. I refuse to believe all this nonsense. So, from an accidental stabbing, and how many violent arguments have you had with your husband? That's how many years of jail time, you know? I couldn't bear the thought of that I'd injured someone. Do you hear? I couldn't bear it. So then you lied to everyone just because you can't bear the thought. Lovely, good. Nice person, yes. Oh, the poor woman. Poor woman? Sasuto, how? No! She is about as bad as they come, and she's also unbearable to begin with. Just no. So yes, I want evidence. I want to see the hard evidence if you're going to insist on this being my fault. It's your knife. There you go. You're going to have to prove to me that I threw that knife, if that's what you think. Come along now, chop chop, do your worst. Okay, so where's the tip of that knife then? Well, Mr. Naruhodo? If I had evidence like that, believe me, I would have thrown it at her already. Then take the stand, juror. Ah! The prosecution does not object to the defendant's request to cross-examine this woman. Thank you, Lord Van Zieks. I'm going to have to testify? Yes, and then lots of prison! Absolutely! Juror number 4. As I'm sure you will appreciate, having observed it with your own eyes today, witness testimony can lead to the most extraordinary truths being unearthed. Truths of which the witnesses themselves may not even have been aware. Oh dearie me. So I demand your full and unadulterated testimony, Mrs. Garadeb, and mark my words, in this court of law today we shall extract the truth. Do you concur, consuls? Certainly, my lord. Oh, that's what I'm hoping for, my lord. Let's go. Such a strange feeling of finally zeroing in on the killer or the stabber, yes. For the first time since arriving in this country, it actually feels real. That I have well-trimmed back hair, yes. I'm here in the Old Bailey and I'm a lawyer. Yes. Witness, state your name and occupation. Oh, yes, my name is Joan Garadeb. And I'm, well, I'm a juror and such like. It sounds like even she doesn't know if she's a housewife or a maid or what anymore. The court has decided your testimony is required in order to clarify matters in this case. Do you understand, madame? Yes, my lord. You will tell the court everything that took place in your household on the evening in question. And I warn you, do not attempt to hide the truth. Oh dearie me. Chin up, Joni. Nothing to worry about now. I didn't know you were here, John. Wasn't only you in the room that day, old thing, was it? Rather think I ought to testify as well, don't you? But what about your knee, dear? Don't you worry about that. Hardly notice it. I'm not the sort of chap to leave a comrade to face disciplinary action alone. Oh, John. I presume you are Mr. John Garadeb. Yes, sir. Former 2nd Lieutenant of the 3rd Regiment of the 4th Northumberland Fusiliers, sir. Actually, for a hot second I was just wondering. Pointy fellow. Yes, he is the moon... He's the crescent moon guy. 46 years old. Okay, he looks maybe a bit older, but... Seen my fair share of action and now living the quiet life, as it were. The quiet life, where you're not engaged in an incendiary battle with your spouse on the day in question? Well, yes, quite. I believe this may represent a first in the proud history of the British court. If you've never had a husband and a wife testify before, then the British court is not that old as you think it might be. Calling a juror to the witness stand is unprecedented. Again, doesn't sound like it should be. However, the court will hear testimony now, and juror number 4, and that of your husband. You will recount clearly and concisely the events in your home at the time of the incident in question. Sir, at once. Oh boy, let's go. The Battle of Garadeb. Yes, on the day you're referring to, the wife and I did have a bit of a skirmish. Can't recall the reason now. Knocked a candlestick over and set fire to the carpets. Soon had it out, though, and got the window open. Meanwhile, I was picking up whatever I could find to throw at him. Plenty of knives around our place. Can't say I'd noticed if 1 or 2 went missing, I'm afraid. If that bally thing in the victim's back really was one of ours, you have a job proving it, I think. So I just need to find the other end of the metal spike then. The end of the blade. That's how you prove it. It sounds as though it was quite the battlefield in your household that evening. Yes, it was Battlefield 1 by DICE Entertainment, published by EA, yes. Although an entirely one-sided assault, it seems. The enemy caught us on the hop, sir, had no choice but to dig in and take defensive measures. To be honest, if the enemy had kept shelling us for another minute, we'd have been toast. Of course, a veteran such as myself is only too aware that on every battlefield you're just a gnat's whisker from death at any moment. Are we still talking about a marital quarrel here? Well, I must say I'm dubious that this testimony will shed any light on the origins of this jackknife. In combat, one's focus narrows such that surroundings are barely noticed. These witnesses may not be able to offer anything more than they have testified already. This may be a dead end. Van Zieks may well be right. Well, whatever the chances, we only have this last cross-examination to uncover the truth, Mrs. Naruhara. Yes, I'm afraid so. Very well, counsel. Begin your cross-examination. Let's go. The Battle of Garadeb. Bit of a skirmish. Reason now.
Hold it!
Hold it! The reason is what you told us yesterday, I believe. Yes, that's right. If I remember correctly, it all started because of a note that was tucked into the pages of a book belonging to Mr. Garadeb. A rather passionate note, in fact. But Mrs. Garrett found the note, discovering her husband's little secret. Well, it wasn't a secret as such. It was more the fact that I believe the problem was that there was a note but it wasn't for Garadeb at all. And she gave him a mighty number of slaps across the face for it too. What a sordid taste of affairs. Hell on earth. I say, when a chap says he can't recall such things, it's common decency to not drag it all up. And besides, half of it was wide off the mark anyway. A likely story. These waters run very deep. So they seem. And what transpired next after these multiple blows to the face? Knocked a candlestick over and set fire to the carpets. Two-had it out though and got the window open.
Hold it!
Hold it! And the fire also spread to some items of furniture, didn't it? The bookcase, my armchair, anything of mine really. Just so happens there was some bathwater around that evening, so I sloshed that about to put it out. A most precarious situation you put yourself in. Ours is a 3-story townhouse on the west side of the street, where the water main isn't connected yet. Have to draw water from a public water pump during the day if need any, you see. The lodgers are always moaning that they can't get any water at night. Although that little mustached Japanese man buys water in bottles, I believe. The defendant, Mr. Natsume, you mean? Yes, he receives a stipend for his studies, you know, from his home country. Can you imagine? Being able to brew a pot of tea at all hours is obviously very well off. Have you actually seen the state of the man? I believe he uses all of his income to buy books. Well, anyway, the point is, I was able to douse the fire with water, fortunately enough. Meanwhile, I was picking up whatever I could find to throw at him.
Hold it!
Hold it! I believe that's an admission of assault. That's, you know, number of years, just saying. Even though the room was on fire. As far as I was concerned at the time, it was more important to extinguish my anger than the flames. When a woman wants to throw, she must throw. Well then, that is a take right there. That is most certainly not true of a Susato takedown, Mr. Naruhodo. Oh, I disagree, Susato. Like, your takedowns are damaging and all, but you are very, very dangerous with them. Just saying. How did you know I was thinking of that? Well, I mean, I think she just has a bad, you know, just sense of, let's say, she feels responsible for causing all that damage, I believe. That's the problem. So please cast your mind back and try to remember. Was a knife among the items that you threw at your husband that day? In all honesty, I don't recall. How dare you! But I feel I must point out that I'm no monster. I think, you know, if I were the Witcher Geralt of Rivia, and I would say that my sword was for monsters, I would pull out the silver one just for you, though. Just saying. Just in case. Let me see. Some bread, a cabbage, garlic, a towel, and a sponge. A nap. What's wrong?
Excuse me.
Excuse me. Do you have something to add, sir? Mr. Garideb. Huh? Hey, don't shoot. Ah, sorry, I beg your pardon? Did your wife's remark just now bring something to mind? Nothing of any significance, no. Just that the barrage of projectiles that the old thing launched in my direction was somewhat more solid than she implies. Books, bricks, and the fire poker, I seem to recall. Ouch. And the woman's aim is uncanny. She landed a direct hit with... Ah! Good grief, woman, we're not at home now, this is a court of law. Oh, dearie me, ever so sorry, dear. What's she even doing with that teapot in here? Geralt, just a coin to your Witcher, O Valley of Plenty. I know. Oh well. Honestly, John, I would never have thrown such things at you, obviously. As she did, though, we can prove with the books, lady, lying, perjury, jail, multiple dozens of years of jail, also probably a stabbing, multiple assaults, jail, 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 prison, 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 yes, yes. Well, take a look at this then. How do you suppose that happened, huh? Your pipe, sir. Had this thing in my hand as usual at the time of the onslaught. Knocked it clean out with one of her soft projectiles she did, yes. Must have been the mouse in her pocket throwing the heavy stuff. Yeah, sure, something else. Or maybe she can somehow blame it on the Japanese. Yes, like, come on. I just hate it when these criminals never ever get any like consequences for their crimes and felons and actions. Like it's all just, oh well, dearie me, I lied 74 times in court and stabbed someone and have assaulted my husband 74 million times, but sure, I can just go home and do some tea instead. Like, and in the same court of law, people are put to death when they're innocent. Like, okay. And when I went to pick the thing up, it was broken in two. I'd like to see a sponge do that sort of damage. I see, your pipe was broken. I would never have been sent flying. It would never have been sent flying unless it was hit by something pretty solid. Anyway, I've managed to bandage the thing up for now. I wonder if the pipe holds the metal part of the knife, though. Like, in the bandaged bit or whatever, you know? You're the one to exaggerate, aren't you? So, like the legal system, innocent people are punished and the guilty go free. Yes! And so far, when the innocent people have been found not guilty, then they are killed anyway by outside forces. So, yes. Probably more of the innocent being punished. Probably yes, so. And also in the real world, there's like a two-tier justice system where if you have money and are of the right color, then you also will not be punished. That's kind of how it goes as well. Could be important, I don't know. Safety save, I don't know. Justice, yep. The defense believed Mr. Garadev's remarks just now give him a great significance.
Objection!
Objection! This war veteran's words only tell us one thing. Betray a fiery wife and pipes as well as hearts may be broken. Sentimental wisdom perhaps, but hardly worthy of adding to the formal testimony. I do believe this is a court of law and anything involving an assault is important testimony, yes, yes. Indeed, common sense, one might say. Might one? In that case, would you at least permit us to examine the pipe, sir? Yeah. I feel the pipe might have the piece of blade in there somehow, in the fixing or whatever. Well, I don't see why not. Oh, dearie me, there you go again, trying to ingratiate yourself with a young lady. Very well. The court will accept the gentleman's pipe as evidence. I hope I didn't speak on turn, Mr. Naruhodo. Nope. I was just feeling rather disappointed for you that your request was turned down. Oh no, it's fine. Thanks to Sato-san, we have some new evidence to work with. We just examine it carefully. Yes! Ah! See, I told you so! Oh, something's just twinkled inside the chamber of the pipe there. Yes, I saw it. Something stuck in there, I think. Let's turn it over and give it a shake. What's this? It's a piece of the blade! It's a tiny fragment of metal! It looks like the tip of a blade or something. Yes, of the murder weapon. Or the stabby stab weapon. Surely it couldn't be. The small piece of metal looks like it might be the tip of a knife blade. It was stuck inside the bowl of Mr. Garadeb's pipe. There we go! Thank you very much. This is the tiny piece of metal we found in the chamber of Mr. Garadeb's pipe. It looks like the tip of a blade or something. The tip of a blade? Yes! Let's work this out together, see? Is something wrong, Mr. Naruhodo? I don't really know. There's just something niggling me, but I can't quite put my finger on what it is. Perhaps in that case, it would be wise to examine some of the other pieces of evidence again. Oh, come on. Surely you could just, you know, get this. Come on. There. Oh, look here, Mr. Naruhodo, just at the tip. A small piece of the blade appears to be missing. Wait, part of it's missing? I could be wrong, but I've just got a feeling. You remember this? Ah, that's a tiny fragment of metal that we found inside Mr. Garadeb's pipe. Yes, and just maybe. Oh my, it's a perfect fit. Somehow I just knew it. Boom. There we have it. Thank you for that rebuttal, Mr. Garadeb. Now we've got into the crux of the matter. What can you tell the court about the knife used to attack the victim? Plenty of knives. One of ours about proving it. Safety safe, because you just never know how the game wants you to present stuff, but let's go.
Objection!
See? I put up the correct piece of evidence with the correct updating in the description that it's from his pipe, and the game was like, no, that's wrong. See? That's bad design. That's why you do safety save, because Ace Attorney games are good fun, but they are sometimes extremely poorly designed in how the puzzles are solved. Because we solved the puzzle, we used the correct piece of evidence, and the game just like, I'm not ready to let you do that, because it's obviously what you should be doing. Like, it's literally just 1 + 1 = 2, and the game is like, what? No! Fail! Punishment! See, that's just...
Objection!
Bad design. Mr. Garadeb, could I ask you to take a good look at this, please? You can ask, but I can't see a bally thing. You can't. You used to call me Dead-Eye Deb back in the regiment, of course, but that was some time ago now. Maybe your eyes are dead, and now that's the fitting name again. Even when I'm trying to enjoy a large print book by the fire these days. I struggle to tell a B from a D and a P from a Q, to be honest. Oh, he does, dearie me. It's rather wearing being asked about every other letter in every other word. You must be very... You must D very dizzy. What is that? A tiny scrap of metal? Yes, almost certainly from the tip of a blade. And what may appear at first to be just a tiny scrap is in fact a crucial piece of evidence. Interesting. And where did the defense come by this evidence? It was lodged in the chamber of Mr. Gatadeb's pipe. My pipe, you say? By Jove, I wonder how that got there. And what precisely does this fragment of metal signify, Counsel? Are you suggesting that it is in some way related to the matter of the stabbing on Briar Road? Don't splash your cheeks at this point, man. Just give the facts, please. I am. What? I find somehow, like, it's kind of odd that we can just get the pipe and me and Susato can examine the evidence without the judge or Van Zeek's, like, being witness to us doing it. And we go, oh, we found this piece of metal in the pipe. Like, we did. But how this is built is very oddly made, in that now they could logically, like, call into question that we planted the thing in the pipe. That's odd, right? Like that, like the chain of preserving evidence is quite weird. When put together with another piece of evidence already in the court record, I believe this tiny fragment of metal will unravel the whole truth in this case, my lord. And that is a burnt bum. You appear rather confident in that extraordinary statement, Counsel. Very well then, present the pertinent evidence to the court. What evidence, when paired with this fragment of metal, allegedly reveals the truth of this entire case? It is my armband! It fits right in there, meaning it's a piece of justice! Yes. Alright, so, this thing. This one time I won't do a safety save, because surely the game will just give me the reality, yes?
Take that!
Thank you. Take that! This is the knife that was found in the victim's back. If you look closely, you will see that there is a small piece at the tip of the blade that is missing. A common issue with the inferior blades sold at unsavory street markets. Criminals who use them regularly leave the tips lodged in their victims' bones. And what of this particular knife? No doubt its tip has suffered a similar fate, now languishing somewhere near the spine of the victim.
Objection!
Objection! No, that's not the case. The tip of this particular knife's blade is the very fragment of metal we discovered in the chamber of Mr. Gatadeb's pipe. Good grief, Lord Van Zeeks. I don't believe it. My badge of lordness will not believe it. Where is my wine? I need a drink. The knife from the crime scene and this fragment of metal are a perfect match. Meaning, they must be completely unrelated. We must call off the court immediately and call the defendant guilty because... Right. Cool, thanks. Good golly gosh. My dear Christmas. Order, order, order. Is this some sort of Eastern sorcery? Yes, our magical abilities include finding just pieces of metal where we just... in pipes. Yeah. This is no magic, my lord. It is holy magic. Yes. My lord himself brought down the magic of Christmas and created this piece of metal. Yes. This is a miracle. That's about the same thing, though. A miracle. So mysterious, yes. So Van Zieks has figured it out, has he? I thought he never would. Van Zieks so far has proven to be maybe the least competent. Basic object recognition. Yeah, it's so simple, you know, like it's so obvious. I'm starting to feel that, like, so I think Van Zieks from the mainline, like, proper prosecutors, like, not counting Prosecutor Payne and the descendants and brothers and cousins and whatever, but like from the mainline prosecutors, yeah, or the main prosecutors, like, you know, Edgeworth, Von Karmas, either or, and there's this Godo. We haven't played the one with Godo yet, but I think Van Zieks is the best dressed, and he probably has a really good understanding of the law, but Van Zieks really seems to be really slow to pick up on, like, logical reasoning at points, you know? Oh, the 18-year-old, she looks like she's... could be, I don't know. But that one, yes. Or her father, the Manfred von Karma, as well. Council, explain this extraordinary coincidence at once. Santa, come on! Simple reasoning, come on! Yes, my lord, the crucial point we have to ask ourselves here is, why is everyone so slow to understand? Okay, this is another problem in this game, I think. Again, while I do criticize this game, I'm having a blast playing it. Some individual points irk me, but it's an Ace Attorney game, I'm having a good time playing it. One weakness I think this has against the other ones I've played, even maybe the Investigations 1 game, is that I feel in the other Ace Attorney games, the courtroom, the judge, and so the judge, even in the main game, is a bit of a bumbling fool. That's fine, but I feel like the courtroom as a whole picks up on the, like, logical reasoning of what has happened at least twice as quickly as they do in this one. In this one, they seem to meander around these obvious points for round and around and around, like, going, like, to the absolute, like, idiot-level explanations of, well, if this piece of metal that fits perfectly into this knife that was found inside this pipe, then what does that mean? Explain immediately, what does this mean, Counsel? Well, these knives can sometimes break, you see, and this knife was indeed found at the victim's back, and the fragment is a perfect fit, and the fragment was in the pipe of Mr. Garrida. Explain, what does this mean? What does it mean, Counsel? Oh, the prosecution has realized what it actually means. What does this coincidence mean, Counsel? Counsel, explain immediately. What is the meaning of all of this? Just come on. Like, they're so slow to getting anything. It takes forever to reach a point in this. Like, it isn't this slow and dumb in the mainline games, in my opinion. Like, it's so bizarre at points, you know? Is when did the fragment of metal find its way inside Mr. Garadeb's pipe? Something that was clarified for us in the most recent witness testimony. Had this thing in my hand as usual at the time of the onslaught. Knocked it clean out with one of her soft projectiles, she did, yes. It would never have been sent flying unless it was hit by something pretty solid. Oh dearie me. During the argument between these two that occurred just as the victim was on the pavement below, Mrs. Garadeb flung this knife at her husband. However, The knife missed Mr. Garrodeb, instead striking the pipe in his hand at the time. And that is just aggravated assault, and she should be in prison, yes? Which caused the tape to break off, of course. Good lord! My dear Santa Claus! Yes, and that is when the tiny tip of the blade found its way inside Mr. Garrodeb's pipe. The chances of that are 1,000,000 to 1. Probably, yeah. And yet there's no other credible explanation for how the tip of the blade ended up in your pipe. Then, after losing its tip, the knife ricocheted off the pipe and flew out the open window. This is getting close to the case 3 of game 2 of the magically hovering cape that jumped into the statue. Is, you know... I'm not sure it breaks the laws of physics yet, but it's pretty close, though. In short, this knife, which fell from the window of the Garrodeb's house, is the very same knife that struck the victim in the middle of the back on the street below, as she was bending over to pick up the book that had dropped a bit earlier. Oh gosh, oh dear, oh, go to jail, yes.
Objection!
Objection! What do you not understand yet? Come on, my dude. A full-bodied theory, I'll give you that. A complex bouquet of seemingly trivial points plausibly arranged to create an almost passable vintage. Allow me to toast my learned friend's characteristically Nipponese approach to bottling his argument. Sorry? But after all, it is just a theory. The bottle, I fear, is corked. I just proved that the murder weapon came from their house. Or the stabby weapon. So, you know. Because you see, it's spoiled by an insurmountable inconsistency. I think the problem you're thinking of is why it was in the victim's back. But again, I just told you, because the victim was bending over to pick up the book that had fallen just before. She was into books anyway. She had 3 of... No. The other books were dropped by the defendant, sure. But still, she was holding the book in her hand, which we know came from the window as well, meaning that she had bent over to pick it up. And then, knife, gone. An insurmountable... Ruinosuke, don't be so dramatic. Van Zieks is just a bit dumb. He's a bit slow to catch on. Don't be so dramatic about this. Explain yourself. What is this inconsistency you claim to have identified? An inconsistency of the simplest nature, my lord, and I think he's gonna be wrong on this. The victim was found with the knife planted in the middle of her back. Again, yeah, I knew this was coming. How can you be so slow about this? Come on! Yes, in her... And even Ruinosuke that doesn't get... See, like, these people are so slow to catch on into these simple realities. Like, she was bending over to pick up the book. Come on. That's right, you silly... And again, that doesn't change the fact that the knife came from their house. Like, that is such a tiny detail that is anyway easily explained that it doesn't change what we just uncovered. Like, it's so silly and odd, like, why would that make a difference even? Now, Joan, old thing, what are you getting so excited about? Let us consider the basic facts of the case once more. The victim was walking along the pavement before being stabbed in the back and falling to the ground. If the knife that struck on her had fallen from above, there's no possible way it could have planted itself into the victim's back. Yes, there is, because she was picking up the book. Ruinosuke, come on, no dramatics. That's nothing. That's nothing. We're just moving on. Order. Quite right, you see, that's exactly right. If the knife had fallen on from above, it would have struck on the top of her head. Nope. Well, no, picking up the book. He's lost for words, look. I knew it. I never liked this theory in the first place. I don't know, though, what really did happen. It would appear the defense has made a rather spectacular Nope. A tiny detail we just need to explain away because the book. Come on. Like, If a theory has ever even one inconsistency, it cannot stand. This from the person who is willing to put people into the gallows with theories with inconsistencies up the wazoo. That's pretty rich coming from you, Van Zieks. All of your theories are filled with holes so big you could drive a pig through them. Or a Volkswagen. Your theory, my learned friend, is history. No. Sorry. It's not this dramatic, it's easily explained away. The book, she was picking up the book. Like, why is... We are on the right track. This is so dramatic for no reason. It's such a dumb, small thing. Now the way has been blocked completely by just one simple inconsistency. Again, inconsistency doesn't apparently mean anything unless it's against us then, because we've picked up 74,000 inconsistencies in this case alone in the prosecution's case, and still somehow it's not guilty, you know. In other words, we simply need to eliminate that one inconsistency and the theory will stand. Thank you, Susato. Come on, let's go. You mustn't worry, Mr. Naruhodo. I agree with her. Like, I have mixed opinions on Susato, but in the courtroom she seems to be on point. We're just caught off guard, that's all. Yes. And your mind went blank. Yeah, that's also yes. Mine didn't, though. But if the path you were on is indeed correct, then a way will present itself. The key to this is in the court record, I'm sure. All the information you see is in there. Ah! It seems you have nothing to say, my Nipponese friend. Well, your silence speaks volumes. A tacit acceptance that your theory is fatally flawed.
Objection!
Objection! This inconsistency doesn't mean that I was on the wrong track. It means that I need to sharpen my mind and dig deeper for the truth. It's a test. Yes, like in school. And we're gonna ace this test with a 7.5 out of 10, like I did always in high school or whatever it is, in like, you know, our equivalent of that. Yes. Yes. If the knife fell on the victim from above, there's no way that it could have hit her in the middle of the back. Under normal circumstances, that is. Ha 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 ha. What are you implying? Counsel? There is a piece of evidence in the court record that can explain this inconsistency, that can explain how the knife that fell from above could have pierced the victim's back. We already have the answer. Goodness. Utter madness. No, your wife is the madness. Surely this must be the last time. Counsel, present the evidence of which you speak. This is the last inconsistency, the final piece in the puzzle. If I can successfully make sense of this, the truth will be laid bare at last. The evidence that explains how the falling knife became lodged in the victim's back it's gonna be the book, but again, this game has so far burned us once on an obviously correct answer, so let's just safety save, you know?
Take that!
Take that, the fourth book. This, the fourth book found at the scene. This is the final piece of evidence that defense will present. The burnt book? Is that not Mr. Garadeb's book? Yes, and to understand its significance, we have to consider how it came to be at the crime scene in the first place. This photographic print clearly shows the book in question, and the victim holding it in her hand. But as we all know, it was the police constable that put the book between the fingers like that. Quite so, as part of his wholesale transplanting of the crime scene to the opposite side of the road. That's true, however. As part of his testimony, Constable Pete made an extremely enlightening statement on that point. But what made you place that book in the victim's hand? Oh, well, sir, that's because that's how I found it. When we first ran over to the scene, the victim was already holding the book. So when I moved everything, I made sure it was still in her hand. In other words, the victim had already picked the book up of her own volition. And clearly that must have been before she suffered the knife wound. Well, I should say so. After being attacked with a knife, I don't imagine she'd have been doing much of anything. So the question becomes, why did the victim have that book in her hand? By Jingo! I think I'm beginning to see what may have happened now. Oh dearie me. We know that the book fell from the top floor of the Garadeb household into the pavement below, at precisely the moment that the victim was walking past. Yes, at exactly that moment. The young woman was walking along the street in the light fog when all of a sudden, a book fell right in front of her. The book I threw. Yes, Mrs. Garadeb, and what do you think the woman did? What would you do if you were walking along and suddenly a book landed in front of you on the pavement? Well, I really can't imagine it, but I suppose she might have reached down and picked up the book. Yes, that's exactly what the woman in fact did. She picked up the book. Oh heavens! And when the woman reached down to pick the fallen book up, what position would her back have been in? That's right, facing the sky, completely and utterly defenseless. Then, in the very next moment, while the woman was still bent over picking up the book, the next object fell from the room above, the jackknife straight into the middle of the back. And at that same time, walking by chance directly behind Miss Green, was the defendant, Mr. Soseki Natsume. Well, I never! It appeared to Mr. Natsume that the woman simply collapsed on the floor. In the dark and the fog, he didn't see the knife falling on her from above. And from the other direction, the constable and his wife saw no one but the victim and her apparent attacker. So there never was a real culprit to run from the scene in the first place. Well, there was a culprit, it's the wife, and she should probably face a number of years in prison, yes. No, this was nothing more than a series of unlikely events that culminated in an unfortunate accident. Which I think is involuntary manslaughter or something, and that's still jail time, right? And multiple assaults on the husband as well, so jail time, yes. And that is the real truth behind this case. Well, Mr. and Mrs. Garadeb. The very first time you showed me that knife, I had my suspicions. I wondered if perhaps it might have been something like that. But you kept your mouth shut because you're an evil, evil lady. There, old bean. No, poor Mrs. Garadeb. Evil, violent, has caused almost a death already, yes. A stabbing in the back, literally. Of course, I never meant for anything of the sort to happen, but yes, that's no reason. It just means that you didn't mean to do it, but you still did it. It was all my fault, wasn't it? Yes. Do you take full responsibility? How many years in prison does that entail, I wonder? I let my anger get the better of me. I threw that book, and I threw the knife as well. John dear, please visit me in prison, yes? It's alright, I know. I'm ever so sorry. Just like the times that she poured hot tea on her like 50 times. So, equally as sorry as then. Sorry! Okie dokie. Lord Van Zieks, what news of Mrs. Garadeb? She's been taken to the infirmary. It would appear that today's events had left her in an especially flustered state. And then prison, yes? However, I believe she will recover in due course. There is no cause for concern, and in prison, yes. Yes, unbeknownst to themselves, they caused what could easily have been a terrible tragedy. I mean, it is still a stabbing in the back, which is pretty much a tragedy, right? They shall have to prepare themselves for the consequences of their actions. Their actions? What did the husband do? Like, he didn't know up until the final moment, and that's... I don't think the husband ever lied on stand, right? There's some good news, however, my lord. Multiple years in prison, yes. Right? Right, Van Zieks, right? I just had word from the hospital where the victim is being treated, and the victim wants to press all of the charges. Yes. Her condition is improving steadily, and the doctor believes she will regain consciousness soon and will press all of the charges. It's strange, we've been talking about the victim all this time, but we never once met her. How wonderful, the woman is out of danger, it seems. Yes, that is good news. So, Mr. Soseki Natsume... Right. Ah, yes. On behalf of my fellow countrymen, I would like to take this opportunity to beg your pardon, sir. You came from your distant eastern homeland to study our great British culture, and almost got hanged for it. Have been repaid with immeasurable unkindness. Please accept our heartfelt apologies. No, it is me who should be begging your pardon. Oh no, Mr. Natsume. That evening, when the young woman just collapsed on the pavement before my eyes, I jumped to the wrong conclusion again in my confusion. What conclusion, sir? I was sure that the woman was dead. Yes, Constable Pete said the same thing, didn't he? He thought she had been killed too. I suppose she must have looked completely lifeless. It's been about a year since I arrived in Great Britain now, but I still can't get used to life here. I can't relax. I'm sure there are evil spirits lurking in the fog, like they're haunting me. Poor Soseki-san, his imagination really has got the better of him. Yes, poor man. So when it happened, I thought the young woman had been taken by the fog spirits. I should never have dropped my books like that and run away. I should have called for help, for a doctor, for the police. Instead, I've managed to create a rift in the relationship of trust between our two empires. And for that, I am truly sorry. One could indeed say that some sort of mischievous spirit has been at work here, I think. One that created a chain of unfortunate mishaps. We were befooled by the spirits and led to false conclusions. But thanks to Lord Van Zieks and our young lawyer here from the east, that chain has now been broken and the spirit exorcised. I heartily commend you both. Oh. Now then, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I mean, Van Zieks didn't really do much to help, but, you know. At least he didn't, object to the lady, being on the stand on the second to go, so. Yes, my lord. In concluding this trial, I must ask one last time for your decisions regarding the defendant's culpability. Are you ready to present your findings to the court? They're all gonna say guilty, and they're gonna be just a-holes about it, too. As a foreman of this jury, I can assure you we've reached a fair and just conclusion. All guilty. I declare the sheriff can be extremely cruel at times. Well, I didn't suspect the woman next to me, that's for sure. Sitting in for the old bean, well, she's out of action, you know, but I knew what her decision would be. Does this mean I'll finally be able to get out of here and start work? Well, it's about time. I say I'll have a corker of a story to tell the grandchildren when I get home, won't I? Very well, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I hereby demand your final decisions. Mr. Foreman.
Not guilty.
Not guilty.
Not guilty.
Not guilty.
Not guilty.
Not guilty.
Hadouken! Very well, Mrs. Hoseki Natsume, I hereby pronounce you dead. I mean, he is supposed to, like, according to the Reaper of the Bailey reputation, he is supposed to die in about a day, so, you know. And finally, Mr. Natsume. Oh, yes, Lord Sir. You should maybe recheck on your life insurance. Yes. You are now a free man once more. It is my hope that you will continue to further your education in British culture. And may you never again be brought before me. Oh, yes, sir, of course. On my life, I swear I'll never set foot in a courtroom again. I'm transported to tears. Thank you, counsels. Court is adjourned. Boom. 20th of February, 3:17 p.m., the Old Bailey Defendants Antechamber. Oh, Locum! Wait, you mean me? Of course, is another Locum here? I don't know. Is there even one? Compared to the original Locum student Mr. Naruhodo Esquire, your name has become rather short, hasn't it? What's wrong with using my actual name? Oh, at last, I'm free, I'm free! Joyful, joyous, jubilant, jubilation! Heady, hearty, happiness, hurrah! Oh, I'm pleased. Mr. Natsume is delighted. Would it be so hard just to say that then? Locum, you did it! You saved me from the brink! Well, what happened to the poor woman was in no way your fault, after all. I'm just glad everyone can see that now. Oh, no, not that! Lovely, loyal Locum lawyer. Yeah? I mean, as I said before, I have just never got used to life here in Great Britain. Every time I look over my shoulder, I see foreigners. I see towering brick buildings. And from high up windows I see them looking down on me, laughing. Look at that little hunchback. Oh dear, I'm sure it's all in your head, Mr. Natsume. But today, you Locum lawyer gave my gloom the boot. Okay, you stood firm behind that baronial bench before all those babbling British. You battled to the bitter end, laying bare the baffling truth. And when I beheld the blinding fireworks among the beams of the Bailey's roof, I bellowed, "Behold the best barrister ever born!" That's very flattering, and we're very pleased for you. This has given me a wonderful anecdote to recount to my old friends back in Japan. An anecdote? Is that what's to become of all my hard work? Ah, there you are, my dear fellows. I apologize for keeping you waiting. I rose late this morning. Ah, it is the main antagonist of the entire game, Mr. Evil Herlock Sholmes. Oh, Mr. Sholmes, what a pleasure to see you. I see I'm here not a moment too soon. A disaster has been averted, I'm glad to say. Oh. The trial shall begin presently, Mr. Naruhodo, and I wish you the very best of luck. It's just finished. What? No! Then my haste was in vain? Ah, it's It's you! Herlock Sholmes, punch him! Yes! All of the punching, let's go! It's the best thing you could do right now. It's all gonna end up being worth it with a solid punch, I tell you. Have we met, sir? This is Mr. Natsume, the man you had arrested, Mr. Sholmes. Yes, and was almost brought to the gallows because of your incompetence, Mr. Sholmes. And I believe you owe him all of the money, and as a moral judgment, you should go in jail. Yes. Ah, I see. I failed to recognize you at first. Our previous encounters have taken place in the gloom, either of your bleak lodgings or that prison cell. I simply couldn't place that curious face in the light. Charming. This is all your fault, Herlock Sholmes. You're the reason I had to go through this terrible ordeal. I'm going to give you a piece of my mind. With a punch. My apologies, sir, but I assure you, I have the place due now. You're the fellow who abandoned that poor young lady and ran off, are you not? Ah. Had she been taken to the hospital more urgently, I feel perhaps she would have regained consciousness by now. Oh. But it was unavoidable, I'm sure. We are but human after all. Anyone would have been shaken by such an experience. I do feel very badly about how I behaved. Well, never mind. Now then, what was it that you wanted to say to me, sir? Nothing. Oh, no, punch him, kick him into pieces, yes. Aha ha 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 ha. Priceless. Oh, I'm sorry. Really, but that was quite priceless. Poor Soseki-san. Still, on the bright side, you've had an extremely entertaining experience without paying a penny. And it would seem you were not even found guilty. But there is no bright side. Whatever do you mean, Mr. Natsume? Even after this, I'm still cursed by the spirits, and now by the Reaper, that's true. Ah, Lord Van Zeeks. I haven't forgotten, you know, what facing a man that man in court means. Even if you're found not guilty, you're still doomed. It will all be alright, Mr. Natsume. Hmm? If the Reaper appears trying to make trouble, I'll protect you. Your Honor, can I have my court assistant jailed for assault? Like right now, and then prosecuted, and then, you know... prison time? Yes? Yes? With a perfectly executed Susato takedown. Like, I don't think that's cute. That's just abuse. Like, much as I like being turned on my head, a bit of warning might have been nice next time, Miss Susato. Like, I just don't think that's funny. It's just abuse. Violent abuse. So, Mr. Natsume, what do you intend to do now? You mentioned something about recounting your experiences to your friends back in Japan. Yes, I intend to return to my homeland soon. Oh. It's already been a year since I arrived here in Great Britain. I visited universities, libraries, bookshops. I've been honored with the tutelage of professors. I've learned so much about the wealth of literature here and the city it has shaped. And I've come to realize it is my calling to sail home and tell my fellow countrymen about it. That's very touching, Mr. Natsume. Or, in perhaps less veiled terms, you wish to withdraw halfway around the world, escape the terror of the Reaper's curse. That's not it at all. The more I learn of literature, the more this strange feeling claws at my insides. I feel compelled to return to my roots and attempt to pen a work of my own. Oh, I see. A work of literature by Soseki-san. Could be an interesting read. And what about Mr. Sato and yourself, Mr. Naruhodo? Sorry, what about us? Will you return to Japan alongside your mustached compatriot? Only if we can take you there and stand trial for being an absolute garbage person. Why would we? A week has not yet passed since we arrived in London, and only now does it feel as though we've finally found our feet. And you are accommodated in a hotel at present, are you not? That's right, but we need to find lodgings before it bankrupts us. I've calculated we can only afford another 10 nights before our entire budget is exhausted. Well then, you could take my lodgings. Oh, the windowless room? Ah, but what it lacks in windows, it more than makes up for it with a floor and a ceiling and walls. Great. And of course, I'd be happy to leave behind the accursed evil spirit. Oh my, an evil spirit? Oh yes. It tries to suffocate you while you sleep. It's an infallible wake-up call. Well, think about it if that's alright. Perhaps I can offer a more welcome alternative. Would you consider taking lodgings with me? Really? Well, a vacancy has conveniently presented itself. Is Iris dead? Though it is up in the attic, I might add. Are you sure it isn't just a storage loft? I spoke with the landlady this very morning on the matter of price, and Iris is clearing the room as we speak. You must come at once. I presume you have no luggage to speak of. Oh, this is simply wonderful. What an honor to be invited to take lodgings in the great detective's office's attic. I just don't get why Susato is such a fan. Like, she knows that Sherlock is a fraud. Like, you know, I still don't get it. I'm too overcome for words. To be invited to the home of a fraud, yes. So suggesting we look elsewhere is out then. I still would. I think he's gonna try and pin us for murder on the first night. First night. And it's settled. Like, I wouldn't live with him. I'd rather be outside in the cold than live where he is. Like, he's gonna try to pin us for murder on the first night. Trust me. I will prepare a welcome dinner this evening. And you must come too, Mr. Natsume. I insist. I don't wanna. Oh no, I don't think he wants to. I don't know what to say. Say no. He's gonna pin you for something as well. Come on. Wonderful. Then I'll go and complete the paperwork for your formal release, Mr. Natsume. I shan't take long. Okay. Somebody's happy. I have a bad feeling about this. Locum. I knew that you wouldn't let me down. I'm truly delighted to have met you here in London. Likewise, Mr. Natsume, it's been a privilege meeting you two. It's a shame that we're going to have to say goodbye so soon. Well, I've come to realize that I belong in Japan. But Locum, we'll meet again one day. Yes, I'm sure. And hopefully by then I'll be a successful lawyer. And haven't been, you know, found guilty of something that Sholmes tried to put on me, you know? It would be awesome, yes. Just, I know he's gonna. Say no to hugs, say yes to drugs, basically, yeah. Sounds about right, yeah. Like, it's just, I got such a terrible feeling about it. This is gonna go so bad. Like, it's not even funny how bad it's gonna go. Hopefully by then I'll be a successful author. Oh boy. Well, my dear fellow, our carriage appears to have arrived. Shall we go, Mr. Naruhodo? Yes, Mr. Sholmes. I've little doubt Mr. Natsume will be released in time for dinner this evening. And so, with Soseki-san's innocence successfully established, we rode with Mr. Sholmes to what was to become our new home, 221 B. Baker Street. '20th of February, 4:41 p.m., the attic room. Very 3D. So this is to be our new office, yes. Our office? I rather like the sound of that. Me too, it's simply wonderful, isn't it? I hope you can see this, Kazuma. It's only a small step. But I'd like to think we're getting a little closer to your dream now. So, my dear fellows, do you like the place? Ah, Mr. Sholmes, yes, thank you so much. It's a delightful room, Mr. Sholmes. I simply adore it. Again, he's gonna pin us for something. Come on. Good, I'm pleased to hear it. Iris and I are delighted to welcome you. I hope everyone's hungry. It's nearly the time for dinner. Well, eat as soon as Mr. Natsume arrives. We'll have a lot to celebrate, I'm sure. Iris, you must let me help you. Alright then, Susie. You can be in charge of the salad. Splendid. I still haven't forgiven you, and you need to really pay me back on trying to pin me for murder. Just saying. So, Mr. Naruhodo, how does it feel to have your own office in the capital? It's very exciting, actually. I can't help wondering what adventures await us. Ahahaha! Those were precisely my sentiments when I first established my office at these premises. Until I discovered the dark truth about the city of London, that is. That you can pin anyone for murder if you're Sholmes. Yes, I know. Sorry? London is a glorious place, full of wonder, opportunity, prosperity, and mirth. Whatever that means. But the brightest of lights cast the darkest of shadows. Shadows? What do you mean? Well, I believe you're well aware of the murkiness that lies behind London's facade already. Yes, starting from you. So once again, Mr. Naruhodo. Welcome to London. That was mysterious. At least he's self-aware that he does evil all the time. I think he just like veils it behind that, like, you know, facade. Of course, at the time, I had no idea of the significance of those words Mr. Sholmes so casually spoke. And he was about to pin everyone of everything and truly become the president of London, yes. But it wasn't long before my turn came. To lift the facade and see the true depth of the murk that lay behind it, and again be the defendants, yes. End. See? There we are. Save the progress, absolutely. But also, since this is the end of the case, I hope you've enjoyed watching this if you're watching this on YouTube. If you have enjoyed this, please do drop a like or even subscribe if you'd like to see more. It would really mean the world for me. I promise. I know it doesn't seem like much, but I promise it really would make my day. So I hope you've enjoyed watching this on YouTube, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one as well. Have a good one, and bye-bye.